I'd like to welcome you to the Municipality of Monroeville Citizens Night for August 9th, 2018. If we'd please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It is approximately 7:04 p.m. All members of council are in attendance. And we're going to start with our Citizens Night portion of comments. If anyone has signed in, please.
I know I'm first.
Very good. And we always ask for a 5-minute time limit for comments. That's not to rush anybody, but to keep the meeting going. 5 minutes should be plenty of time to get your point across. Certainly, if you need any additional assistance afterwards, we'd be happy to speak with you as well. So, Nicole Henline, the floor is yours.
Hi, Nicole Henline, resident and director of the library. I wanted to stop in and say hello and let everyone know what's going on at the library this summer. It's been a busy one. In July, we partnered with the Holocaust Center of Pittsburgh to bring the Butterfly program to Monroeville. And it went well. There was a turnout of 58 people, and our partners at the Holocaust Center in Pittsburgh were very happy. It was the biggest turnout they had at a library. This month, the topics will be lighter for the kids. We're looking forward to the Stuffed Animal Sleepover on Friday, August 17th, and the Craft Palooza on Wednesday, August 22nd, right before school starts. We've had some great family programs this summer. 74 people of all ages turned out for our first ever family bingo night and proved to be a big enough hit that we've been asked to bring it back in the fall. Our all ages superhero scavenger hunt invited comic and movie fans to come out and solve clues to find hidden pictures throughout the library. That brought in 55 people, and we wanted to thank Phantom of the Attic for providing the prizes. And earlier this summer, we held our first ever mini golf in the library, which was a hoot. I didn't know what to expect, and it was wonderful. We had 80 plus community members who attended and asked us to make sure to do it again. So if we do, I definitely recommend stopping in. It's quite interesting what you can make mini golf holes out of. In some of our adult programming, we have Monroeville Poetry Night coming up on Wednesday, August 15th. The Monroeville Poets, a local poetry forum created to encourage the writing of all kinds of poetry from formal to experimental verse. They're inviting anyone to come. And this was the 12th year for our adult summer reading program. We've had children's summer reading program for as long as there's been a library, but this is the 12th year for the adults, and it was another success. We had 80 plus people sign up and read over 600 books. The use of laptops and hotspots continue to be popular. Patrons really seem to appreciate the ease of using the laptops anywhere in the library, especially lately with impromptu elevator construction. They can take the laptop somewhere quieter, and they really love the freedom of having the internet via hotspot wherever they need it. And there's always a steady list of people waiting to check out the hotspots. For fundraising, once again in September, it's going to be Love Your Library Month in Allegheny County, thanks to the Buncher Foundation. All money raised in September will be eligible for a percentage match. So as we've done in the past 2 years, we're going to have some pushes for fundraising to take advantage of that. The Friends of the Library will be holding another trivia night event for teens and adults, Saturday, September 15th. Teams are comprised of 2 to 6 members. You can sign up with a team or you can sign up individually and you'll be assigned to one. It's $20 per person. I highly recommend it if you haven't tried it before. It's been a lot of fun. I think this will be the 4th or 5th time that they've done that. Blaze Pizza on September 5th. 20% of all proceeds will be donated to the library fund, and Five Below September 1st through September 8th. And in addition to those just benefiting the library, it'll be part of that match in September. And the second annual Library Fun Fest will be held on Saturday, October 13th. Last year was a lot of fun. We had over 1,000 people show up. This year it's co-sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, so we're expecting we've had even more interest so far. We're expecting a larger turnout. And I would like to invite any community group or business that would like to participate to check out our website for information. And I would like to invite council and the mayor and the manager and department heads. I'm going to send an email. Please join us. And if you would like to be a judge for the second annual Cupcake Classic, we need 12 judges. We have 4 different age groups, and we need 3 judges for each. So if you're interested in doing that for us, I will send out an email. Please let me know. And you have the calendar of everything happening in August. Thank you so much for your time and your continued support.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nicole.
Next, we have Mr. Patrick Fulkerson. I didn't see you there behind the laptop.
Yes, we were at the funeral home together. And that's a shame. She was a nice lady, Mary.
Yes. She
All
was.
right, greetings. I am here to talk about the MS billing, which I know most of the residents in Monroeville do not know much about. But it's coming in the near future, and it can be as early as next year. This fee is coming into effect to help pay for the stormwater management. And it is estimated to be around $95 per resident, even higher for some commercial properties, including exempt properties in Monroeville. I feel the residents in Monroeville should be aware on how it was determined by some members of council about who should collect the fee, whether it should be collected by the Monroeville tax office, where most revenue is collected, or by outsourcing to a company not in Monroeville. I would like to begin with a history of events that occurred over the past year, concurring this fee and how our tax office was involved. Last year, the municipality asked us if our department was interested in collecting the MS fee. Council also considered us, and we gave them an estimate cost for this billing, which I was told was the lowest cost proposal at that time in January 2018. Mr. Little stated he wanted to talk to me about the MS4 billing, but somehow the meeting never occurred to talk about the specifics in this billing. I was later informed that the committee did not support a full-time employee, so we gave Mr. Little a new proposal in April, which included a part-time union employee. But we still didn't know the specifics or the procedures and how the MS billing would be implemented. Since then, I have talked to Mr. Little on many occasions and informed him that the time was running out if he wanted the billing to start in January 2019. This past Saturday, I saw a councilman at an event in the community park and asked him about the billing, thinking that he would get the process rolling. I was informed by the council person that it has already been voted on and that the tax office was not getting the billing. He said the votes on the matter at the fire training building last week, and they gave it to the COG, Council of Governments. I asked the councilman how this could be. I heard since talked to a few other council members. One member said the reason COG was given the billing was that he was told they came in with a lower proposal, even though he never saw it. In the beginning, I was told that we had the lowest proposal, so it seems that COG was given another chance to resubmit the lower proposal. Now, another councilman told me to submit a lower proposal than COG, but I felt that to do this properly, I would need more information, like any good person, about the specs or the program, how they wanted to implement it, payments, or is there going to be more than one payment? Is it going to be 2 payments? Is it going to be 3? Is there a discount? Is the property, which time you're going to send it out? All these specs I wanted to know before we had sent out a new proposal. That's what intelligent people do. I have no doubt that COG could handle this billing without any difficulty, but I felt you are showing a disservice to the tax office by wanting an outside agent should be doing the billing. In the past 4 years, we have brought a surplus of $4 million to the municipality, which saved council from raising taxes. Before that, we had $10 million collection over 7 years, and that is when I started the tax collection and got up to speed. We have done a good job and have done it exceedingly well, even though certain members of council felt they should look outside of Monroeville to do the collection. We are considered one of the best collection departments in the county and the state. We have entire entities calling us all the time for information of how to handle things. The residents always comment on how friendly and curious our staff is, and they are definitely an asset to Monroeville. The residents like working with our staff. When the state mandated that the earned income tax had to be outsourced, the residents were upset that we didn't fight to keep it. So now I'm going to listen to the advice given by some of the Monroeville residents in the past and attempt to fight the fee from being outsourced, period. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, if I could briefly. Mr. Fulkerson, I don't think anyone up here could argue with the tail end of your comments as far as how well of a job the tax office does, how well your staff does, how good of a job you do, the kind of collections that they do, the kind of service they provide. But just to be clear, there was no vote taken on this. This is actually on our agenda this evening, and there is a vote that's going to happen on Tuesday.
What?
And also, as far as the bids go, council.
It wasn't a bid.
No, we have
No, there's no
proposal.
bids.
Well, there's a proposal that we have in front of
A
us.
bid process is done by taking the information, taking the specs, and coming out with a number.
And that's
And
what.
it's sealed. No, and it becomes sealed.
Well, we didn't do. It's not.
No, that's a
that's what
bid. No,
that's
it's a
what a
bill. It's a
sealed.
proposal.
That's what a sealed bid is.
Yeah.
You are correct.
Oh, yes. And
But
we
the
didn't
propo-
have this
You had a proposal, and the COG also presented a proposal as well.
after the fact. And they were also in concern. They were also part of this organization of the committee all the time. We weren't. And that's unfair.
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean? Did you not talk to COG about this going on with the MS billing? You never talked to them.
Only thing we asked them is, would they be interested in doing it?
Oh, you didn't talk to them other than that?
No.
How did they know what the specifics were?
I don't know, Pat.
I'm just asking a question. They had to know.
Well, they knew as
They
much
had to
as the
know.
tax
Later
office
on,
knew.
when we sent the,
And
asked,
how did they know my number?
later on, they didn't know your number. till
Yes, they
proposed
did.
it.
No, they did. We were the lowest
Okay.
bid before.
I'm not gonna argue with that.
Well, I'm not arguing with you either. You're saying something that I did in January. We were the lowest bid. That's.
I don't remember, we didn't go out for bid.
He did. No, you didn't go over. You went for proposal. We gave it to him. We
What
were
are
the lowest in
What
January.
are the proposals? Pat?
They're at your desk there, Steve. It's in the packet.
And how did COG get lower than us if in January they were higher? That's the only question. You have to be fair to the tax. They have done you a service.
Sure.
Well, and if you do want to think it's still the lowest, there's a lot of things in Monroeville that you can outsource and it would be lower. But the quality will not be there. And if I want to go into details, I can go into a lot of departments. that
Well,
you
up
can
to
outs-
your points are well taken at this
Yeah,
point.
well, you're-
and
you're
we
kinda-
appreciate them. Your stance has been
I'll
well
let-
made.
I'll let the public.
Pat, I just want to clarify a point. Maybe I misunderstood what you said at the beginning of what you were saying. Me, you, and Liz met in January, correct?
We met, no, we didn't met on the civics. We gave you a proposal. You asked COG to give you a proposal. We came in at the lowest at that period of time.
Me, you, and Liz met and spoke about it.
No, we did not. I have a letter from you, email.
Well, Pat, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you because I have the notes from that meeting.
Oh, then let me see.
And I'll show
because-
them to you
Yes,
tomorrow.
I would appreciate it.
We met it on January, I think it was 17th.
And what was it all about?
You fine?
You and Liz met in your office.
Yeah, right here.
Because I was directed by the MS4 committee to meet with you.
And we were the lowest bid at that period. of
Well,
time.
I'm,
How do we know
I'm not
that?
talking about that. All I'm saying is that
Because you
me,
told us that,
Who told you that?
Mr. Little.
I told you you were the lowest bid.
Yes, you did it. Not a bid, it's a proposal. It doesn't really matter. I don't care if the COG's lower than us
No,
or
I-
higher than us. That has nothing to do with
Pat,
that.
your point's well taken with respect to having the best service at the best price. I agree with you. The only thing that I just want to clarify is that me, you, and Liz did meet to initiate the process of talking about billing for the MS4, and it was in about the third week in January.
And did we tell about how many buildings there were gonna be?
How many?
What
Yeah,
was it?
because the postage
Did
was
we-
based
Did we
on that.
talk about if there was gonna be a discount? Were you supposed to get back to
Well,
us?
yeah, there was going to be a discount, but that's not even in the ordinance right now with respect to a discount,
I know that.
So that hasn't even been clarified. Okay, as far as that's concerned, but we did meet, Pat.
Yeah, we did, and
Okay.
and if we met, we told us we were the lowest bid. And why would you not come back to us in April and tell me that they didn't want a full-time person involved?
All I did was take the
Because you
proposals.
came in my office and you said, Pat, the committee does not want you to have a full-time employee.
There was talk about what was the
So,
need for a part-time
yeah,
person.
so
That
if
is
they-
correct.
Say it.
That is correct.
Well, he told us.
Well, folks,
Well, Mr.
respect,
Fulkerson, do you remember walking into a council meeting and saying,
Into the back room.
give the billing to the COG because I'm done in 2 years and the tax office probably isn't even gonna be
I had
here.
never said that.
Yes,
I never-
you did.
I did not.
well, folks, if I
I
could.
know for a
That's
fact
why
I
that-
never
Mr.
went in there.
Wilkerson, there was only one reason that we asked for a second pricing and not just from your
Yes.
office, being on the committee, because we needed to have someone that was able to do the billing, and you told us directly.
No, I did not go
Oh,
in
okay,
there.
Mayor,
I hate
well,
to-
yeah,
Okay.
folks,
Mayor,
folks, let's,
Tell me
the
okay,
reason why.
okay, let's
No,
do this.
that's-
Hey, everybody, I have an idea.
No.
I have a great idea.
Right.
This is on our agenda for this evening about the billing. There will be no votes will be taken this evening. This is just a work session meeting. We'll be discussing this matter. On Tuesday, there will be votes taken, but we can discuss some of the, we can do more discovery in the next couple of days as far as timeframes and meetings. But at this point, let's move on to our next topic.
All right, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks.
Tom Heddingson. Welcome.
Good evening. Tom Henningsen, resident Monroeville. Mayor, 4 months ago, I came before you telling you about an address problem we are having on Maplecrest Lane. And at the time, you said that should be an easy issue to address. We are still in the same situation today. It's an issue that was brought up 3.5 years ago. The problem is that my family's addresses are mixed up with the address next door. And the next door actually has had at the time a utility account that was listed to our address. In addition to that, I have information here from today that that property is still using our address. And so the question is, where are we standing? What's going on?
Mr. Little or Mr. Hugus?
Tom, you and I have talked about this extensively. In fact, I think I remember running into you up at Eaton Park a couple years ago and mentioning to you the status of what that is. In 2012, the municipality did a whole study on the roads that were not marked, named, more so for 911 purposes, okay? And now, I wasn't here in 2012. My understanding is that the people on Maplecrest Drive, 100% of the people that live there had to agree to have their addresses changed. If that's not done, then the municipality, the council at that time, was not going to do anything, and that's where it stands right now.
But that is not correct. I mean, we need a legal address. Mr. Harvey has pointed out a number of times that we need to put a a number on the house. I'm asking, what is that number? I need a letter from the municipality telling me what the addresses are on the 2 properties we have. And I'm also asking that that letter specify that these addresses comply with the Allegheny 911 code and with the postal code. I mean, if you take the current address, 3890C, that's not an address that Amazon will accept. It's not a proper postal code. And of course, my solution to the problem would be to put numbers on all of these and not go with this ABC system, because it by itself is difficult to explain when you call 911. You have to say, well, it's a Logan's Ferry Road address, but it is on Maplecrest Lane, and so on.
Well,
So it's not a legal address the way it stands today, period.
Okay, my understanding what you want, I'm going to repeat back to you what I think you want. Okay, you want the name changed from Logan's Ferry Extension to Maple Crest Drive, am I correct?
That's my recommendation.
Okay.
But what I'm
No, that-
asking for is a letter from Monroeville telling me what my address is, and also telling the other residents that are affected by that. Because what happened is that to comply with the 911 system, some of the addresses were moved around. But the people who were affected by this were not notified. And that's why the neighbor with some justification can continue to use the old address, because they've never been informed that it was changed.
How many residents are involved on that?
There are about 14 properties.
So there's
Maplecrest Lane is
14 individual homes?
No, Maplecrest Lane is about a third of a mile long. There's about 14
I'm
properties.
familiar with that, but
There are 8
occupied homes.
8 active addresses, depending on how you count.
Oh, is Maplecrest a paper street, as they call it?
No, it's a private road. I agree with Tom, it should be changed, but the fact of the matter is, it's a councilmatic decision.
Let's change it.
And we've had discussions, I've talked to Tom multiple times about this, is that when you change people's addresses, you gotta do it across the board with everybody that's on the street, and they may or may not agree with it, because you're gonna change your driver's license, your mortgage, your credit cards, all your banking information.
Yeah, it's not
It is
that
a very encumbersome project, and that's why we have told him repeatedly, you get everybody's agreement to
Yeah,
change your
why
address.
wouldn't you try and get
we'll change
a
it.
Yeah, and then we can do it.
No,
petition per
Why don't
se?
you, yeah, go to all the neighbors.
I'm not I don't have the ability to do that. In
Need
part,
8 homes?
what's that?
8 homes?
Well, the
think
part is that some of these properties in the various types of sales situations, it's not even clear to me who owns the various properties at this point. So,
Well, I meant the 8 residents that are currently
Yeah, the ones
there.
that live
If
there.
you got their consent, there should be no issue, because if you sell it to me, I'm going to inherit that address.
yeah, I don't want to publicly go into this, but it's not something I can do.
Can we, how about this? What if we do Mr. Little had a suggestion, if we could maybe round up everyone, the 8 homes, the 8 homeowners, maybe send letters to them, and we maybe set up a meeting potentially here with Mr. Little and staff, explain everything, and then you guys can come to a solution on your street with what's best.
Well, but
Because in all fairness to, I mean, the point that Mr. Hugus made was that there might be some people that
Don't want to change.
don't want to change all, I mean, everything, all the documentation, health records, I mean, the
Their
list goes
mortgage
on.
statements,
Mortgage.
their, everything.
but it's already happening.
But
These
but I agree with Mr. Little. Let's
Well, but
send
the-
letters to all the residents and get everyone
Great
together.
idea.
But
Come up
the-
with a consensus, and then we can move forward with that.
Because I don't think-
We
I mean-
can't do anything right now.
And I think that the council, they'd be happy to make a change.
Sure.
However, the flip side is they probably are only going to make a change if they have the
Everybody
support
wants
of
it.
everybody.
But recognize that the addresses that exist now, you cannot enter as an example on your driver's license, because they are not legal postal codes.
Okay.
But
we're-
I'm only
we're trying-
asking-
We're trying to come up with
Okay.
an amicable solution, and so I think sending letters to everyone,
If
let's
that's the way
get
you
everyone
want-
together and see what
Yeah.
we
Or
can
at least
come up with.
reach out to all the homeowners, and even if they maybe don't want to come to a meeting, at least give them the opportunity to speak to the staff, to talk to Mr. Little over the phone, to explain the situation. Because you're right, maybe there's some new owners that maybe don't understand this is even going on.
But
We
see,
are
I'm not-
providing some public services there, aren't we, Tom?
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
We are
revenue.
providing some public
Oh, as
services.
far as I'm concerned, it is a municipal road.
Pardon me?
It is a municipal road.
But it
That's
is not.
a thing we have argued. But, you know, Maplecrest Lane is 150 years old. It has been serviced by Monroeville for as long as any road in Monroeville has had services. And if you look at the legal background of that, it long ago became a municipal road. But it's one that Paul and I have been going about.
Well, maybe at this point, I think the best solution is maybe for council, if council's okay with this,
I am.
to have,
100%.
the building department send letters to everything, you have everyone on file there, send letters just explaining the situation, and that we either set up a meeting or,
Mr. Mayor,
Call them.
I think you should get a meeting, because otherwise you're gonna have a he said, she said people.
well, no, I understand that, but I mean, you might have people that don't want to come to a meeting, but you have to at least make a fair attempt by certified
least you
mail
could
to
say you
everybody.
offered.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Try to set up a meeting,
Yes.
so,
We'll send a letter.
thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Paul.
But
Very
Mayor,
good.
just to be clear, I'm not asking for a change on the road. I'm asking for a letter from the municipality telling me what my address is, because it has been changed.
Correct, but I don't think the municipality's ready to do that unless they speak to all the residents.
Right, okay.
So let's start with the letters first.
Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Now, another issue has to do with the code enforcement on Maplecrest Lane.
Mr. Henderson, can we cover this at another time? We are well over your 5 minutes, and
Okay, I'll be back on Tuesday.
thank you
Thank you.
very much. Miss Diane, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time with the handwriting.
That's a Gary.
Edgegary, is that right?
Etchegary.
Okay, if you just state your name for the record, and you already signed in.
Yes, my name's Diane Etchegary, 3747 Evergreen Drive, Monroeville.
Hi, Diane.
I don't know if I am really.
Is this about the building on?
Yes, for-
We're going to have a public hearing
When's that?
tonight.
Oh, yeah,
So
okay.
hold your comments for that. That's the
Okay,
best time
that's what I was going to
Yeah,
ask you.
please.
Should I wait? All
Yeah,
right.
please.
Done and said, thank you.
So we have a few people from Evergreen, which I'm assuming it's all about that matter, correct? Okay. And Jeanette Beagle.
Excuse me.
Go Steelers.
Hi, Jeanette Beagle, Monroeville resident. I had some questions about the MS4, but I don't know if you're going to actually get into what my questions have with these motions that are on here.
Tuesday, you're gonna have to ask. Chances are, we're not gonna be able to answer the question.
Okay.
You want to throw your questions out?
Well,
throw them on the
my questions
floor here.
were like, kind of how's the fee being assessed and,
Well, there's going to be more
That's what I-
information forthcoming.
okay.
Yeah, we're going to have
With
public hearings or
presentation
something like that.
Given next month.
That's not being
Explain
voted on at
everything.
this point, and it won't be voted on Tuesday.
Right. There's going to be an ordinance put in place. There's going to be a public presentation given by an engineering firm.
There's gonna be public hearings just on that.
Yes.
Okay, I was just
And
questioning
you will-
because
And
some
there will
stuff
be a
was
slide
here.
presentation, and then
Okay.
there can be questions and answers. You know, we're going to try and educate everyone as much as possible, give everyone as much information as we can. And I think, Mr. Yugas, are we still looking at the September 6th meeting for the public education as of right now?
Yes, the work session.
The work session of September 6th?
Okay. Those were my questions pertaining to this, but we'll wait till
And then
then
you might have
and
more after
see.
that, but
Okay.
you may get a lot of answers as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. Yes, and just to be clear, what we'll be voting on Tuesday regarding this is only the motion to advertise that ordinance. So this is not till next month. So it is mentioned on our agenda, but that's only to authorize the advertisement of the ordinance, which we'll discuss further at a later time. At that point, everyone has signed in who was going to speak at Citizens Night other than the Evergreen folks. Is there anyone else who would like to speak about any other municipal matter? Sir, if you could just state your name for the record and sign in, please.
My name is Robert Serafini. I'm a resident of Monroeville. I have three short things I want to talk about. First of all, I want to say thank you to Mike Adams, who does a hell of a good job in Monroeville. I called him up. Him and his crew took care of the problem the very next day. And every time you call that man, everything is done correctly, and everything is done fast. And I just want to say thank you to that.
Thank you.
Another thing I want to say is, to my councilman, Mr. Johns, I listened to Mr. Fulkerson talk up here. I think he is right. He's the man for the job, and I appreciate if anybody would call their councilman and back him for that on Tuesday vote, because I think Mr. Fulkerson is right. I do not like putting the job out to anybody outside of in-house. I think that's a poor way to do it, because you do not have the same control as if you had it in-house. And if you all stipulated, he's done a hell of a good job with the taxes. And I've known Pat for 40 years. He's done a good job ever since I know him, whatever kind of job he's had. And like I said, I would appreciate your vote for Mr. Fulkerson on Tuesday night. So that's my second thing. Second thing is, Mr. Yugas, I'd like to know the telephone number of the state who is screwing around with the lights in Monroeville. Because they have screwed the traffic lights up in
Traffic lights.
Monroeville
Oh,
so
they're crazy.
badly,
They are
it
so
isn't funny.
crazy.
Is there a number that I can call to complain?
I will give it to you tomorrow.
I'd appreciate that very much. Because
And then this-
we had a good thing going with that traffic lights in Monroeville. I mean, we just used to sail through and everything was good. I had to wait 3 lights to make a left-hand turn from Route 22 into Lowe's store. They didn't change. The traffic just kept coming. I don't know what they've done to screw them up, but they've done a really bad job lately. And I just think everybody should call. And Tuesday night, I'd like to have that number, do we have put on the air? Because I'd like everybody to call and complain. Because I've had a lot of people, they're all complaining. I bet you everybody in this room has had some kind of a problem with the traffic lights. They've just screwed them up so bad. And that's all I wanted to say. And like I said, I'd appreciate that number, and I want to put it on the air on Tuesday night. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Serafini.
Serafini.
And along those lines, Mr. Hugus, has there been a change recently with that, with the
NDOT
timing?
has instituted their traffic adaptive system, which goes from Route 22 and 48 to Rhode Island Road. And it was turned on last week.
And it's a mess.
It's confusing.
It's not adapting very well.
Very
Oh, is that the same one that Murraysville uses?
Yes.
Because theirs are good.
Yeah, the first phase of it went from the Cochran signal to Route 66. Now the second phase is from 22 and 48 to Rhode Island Road.
But it
So
doesn't
there's
have like,
glitches in it possibly?
It's still learning. It's,
Oh, once it smartens up,
right.
yeah.
well, we'll be good to go.
It literally,
A little more
Each light is a
education.
mess, too.
yeah,
Because it's, I mean, they are
you
smart
seen it?
lights.
Very
I mean, there's something,
confusing.
there's a, it's,
they do. They collect the traffic information and make decisions on their own. We lose our span of control over the signals.
Them
I
robots.
realize it's not Monroeville. That's why I wanted the phone number, so we can get a bunch of people call and complain.
very good. So,
How
Very
long
good.
does it typically take, though, for this system to kind of program itself, now that it's installed, and now that it's kind of monitoring?
They actually turn the system on 30 days in advance to let it learn.
Okay,
And then once it gets turned on, there are usually some period of time. It's a 30-day test period that we have to go through to see what needs to be changed, if anything.
okay.
So
Because
you can
Mr.
anticipate it to
Serafini,
be
I agree, it's very confusing. It's not like
Yes.
both lanes are doing the turn, and then those lanes change, and then the
Well, what you're going to
straightforwards.
see with the
all over the
traffic
place.
adaptive system, everybody's used to knowing when their left turns
Yes.
go. And that's not how the system works
It's not.
anymore. It chooses itself.
Correct.
So what we look at is the leading or lagging left turn.
Mm-hmm.
It may go the same time as a straight-through lane,
Right.
or it may go with the other left turn lane. It may not go at all. It chooses itself what to do.
Correct. But it's confusing when most people are used to
Don't
the way.
anticipate the traffic signals anymore.
Yeah. No, it's like a teenager right now.
Right.
interesting, very interesting. So, have some patience and we'll see how these lights go. But if you can get the number from Mr. Serafini, that'd be great. Does anyone else like to address council for Citizens Night at this time? Seeing none, we're going to close that portion of the meeting and move over to our agenda-setting meeting. As I mentioned, all council members are in attendance. We have an executive session announcement that council conducted an executive session for the purposes of personnel and litigation reasons prior to tonight's Citizens Night, beginning at 6:30 p.m. until 7 p.m. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at the August 14th council meeting. And that acknowledgement, Mr. Little, that's for Tuesday,
That's for
correct?
Tuesday.
Okay. Council, we're going to look at our minutes from Citizens Night meeting of July 5th, 2018, the council work session of July 5th, 2018, the regular council meeting of July 10th, 2018. Are there any additions or corrections?
No, sir.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move over. Reports of the tax collections. Council?
No, sir.
List of bills. Mrs. Gatos, we'll start with you. Do you have any questions this evening?
I have nothing, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Poach?
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Harvey?
Nothing.
Nothing, sir.
All right.
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Duncan?
Nothing,
Mr. Wilson?
Nothing, sir.
Okay, very good.
ma'am.
And budget transfers and payroll, any questions, council, or comments?
Nothing.
Moving over to our bids and proposals. We have two of them this evening. Mr. Little, please.
Yes, we had somewhat of success on the bidding of all of the old vehicles we have. The municipality will net $8,995 from the bidding procedure that the list of vehicles that are in front of council. It was given to council last month, and Mr. Sedlak took care of that. Any words of wisdom, Joe?
Let them go. Sooner the better.
Where do those funds go then, Tim, once we receive the funds?
Well, they could just go right into a miscellaneous account,
Okay, I just want to make sure
Sure.
the public knew.
Okay, on a larger scale, we have the traffic signal. Speaking of traffic signals, North Pike and West Patty Lane signal. And this is from a grant that we have received. And we had two bids, one from Traffic System Services and one from Bruce and Marilee's Electric. The low bid is Traffic Systems and Services for $183,656.70. And I would recommend to council on Tuesday night to award them that contract.
Have we seen that company in the municipality before?
Mr. Hugus, I'm sure.
Yes, they've
Yeah,
done,
they've done work
work
here.
for some.
Very good.
And this particular traffic signal was picked because of its age or its,
Combinations, well, the Green Light Go grant only pertains to state roads.
okay.
So we're limited
So
to just
everyone
state roads.
understands,
But
that's why.
But we backed out of that to signals that are in the worst condition, which this is an older signal that needs to be rehabilitated.
Okay.
Even once it's approved, I just found out the other day how long it takes to get a pole. I never realized. Am I
Yeah,
right?
traffic signal poles take about 22 weeks to get.
Jeez.
So once you award it, you still got to wait 22 weeks to get.
Imagine that.
6 months.
There's only one company in the Commonwealth that sells traffic signal poles.
Well, I'm gonna open one. That
Why
sounds
am I
like a good
going
gig to get
You can't
into.
go out of Cornwall.
Well, you
Everybody
definitely can't
keeps
go out of
asking me,
country.
where's the light?
Yeah.
Well, it's about, where's the pole?
Yeah.
Council, any other questions about
Sorry.
either of those bids and proposals?
New saw.
Mr. Little, we're going to move over to our items of new business, and actually, this will be a Mr. Ratcher issue. We have our first, we have three actual public hearings this evening. We're going to start with AR Building Company. This is the folks from Evergreen. This will be your time to speak. Mr. Ratcher, if you could start up the public hearing for
Okay.
AR Building, please.
All right, this is 184-C, AR Building Company, Inc. This is the time for the public hearing. Would the applicant please come forward?
I do have a computer presentation.
Great.
I can flip that up.
Okay, will you gentlemen please sign in and then state your name for the record once you're signed in? And then we'll get everybody sworn in that wants to talk or may talk.
He unplugged the laptop. Whatever he has up there will not be seen on TV.
Okay.
Did you get that?
Now it's coming up. I'm sorry.
Wait,
Oh,
hang on.
hold on. We spoke too soon.
Joe, are you okay with that?
Let me check it and see what
Okay.
it looks like.
So what we'll do is we'll go through and we'll start swearing people in while you're looking through that.
There you go.
It came up.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. It did come up.
You're good, okay.
Any-
Thank you.
Any members of the public that intend to come up and talk or ask questions, even if you think you might not, please stand. Now's the time to be sworn in. That way, if you do come up or don't come up, you are sworn in. Everybody, please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Oh.
He does.
He's sworn.
He's sworn in as well.
He was swearing. Very good.
You can just state your name and proceed.
Sure. Thank you. So my name is Jeff Campbell. I am a principal and architect with Rothschild Doino Collaborative. We're the project architects for the project. I'm also joined by Ray Gusty from Farringer McCarty Gray, who can introduce himself as well. Jason Kambitsis, who represents the developer, unfortunately could not make it tonight. He sends his apologies, but happy to answer as many questions as I can on his behalf. So as I mentioned, I do have a short presentation. I know there's a long agenda. I'll keep it short. I'm happy to go back if there's questions either from yourself or from the audience that we'd like to address.
Okay, and we, just for the record, we also have a site plan review at 18-4-ST and a subdivision at 18-1-SUB. The public hearing is only for the excavation, but I'm sure that your presentation is going to overlap, and that's fine.
Okay. All right, so I'm happy to talk about the entire project. Apologies here.
Take your time.
There we go.
All right. So AR Building Company, first to introduce the company, they have appeared before you a couple times now over the last few months. But just to do a quick refresher, they are a real estate development firm, company based in Pittsburgh. They work nationally at this point. They've been around for actually celebrating 50 years this year. They have over 9,000 units nationally. These are a couple examples, or a few examples of some of the projects that they've been working on. So this is Chatham Commons on the left-hand corner. On the left-hand side, that's up in Cranberry, PA. There's also, they're doing work in Ohio, so that's Heritage Preserve in the upper right-hand corner. And in the lower right is Highland Hills, which is another multifamily development. This one's in Rhode Island. We've actually been the architect. I personally was the architect for all three of those projects, as well as all of their new construction. The firm I'm with is Rothschild Doino Collaborative. We're based in the Strip District, very Pittsburgh-centric. We've done projects at Oakmont. This is River's Edge of Oakmont in the middle, and the site plan on the left. We've also done Somerset at Frick Park, if people are familiar with that, located in the city, as well as the Almano master planning. So the first thing that we like to do whenever we do a project is look at the larger context and understand the landscape. So right now, we have the Parkway East that cuts across here. Evergreen Road is just off of that. The site is here at the center. We took a long look, understanding where the views were from the particular site, and understanding where our neighbors were and what kind of impact we were having, and felt that we did want to pull things away from the site, away from the Parkway a little bit for both views. And then also shield the parking from the neighboring residents. Excuse me. We also do something we like to call site forces page, which is us understanding what the site, what forces there are that we need to respond to. One of the biggest things to understand about the site is that there's a lot of topography across it. So as you look from the evergreen on the west-hand side or on the left side of the screen, we have about 70 feet of rise as you go across and up to the right. And the homes rise with that as well. The homes across the street are also another 10 feet or so off of Evergreen Drive. Of course, look at the zoning requirements. At this point, we comply with all the zoning codes. We have a full compliance. I think height right now is 100 feet is permitted. We have a building that's 50 feet at its highest point, even with the topography that we have. And then section across the way, that this is actually cut from the neighboring residences on the right, which is above Evergreen, across the site, and then down to the Parkway. So you can see how that grade is stepping down throughout the site and throughout Evergreen. I had mentioned before, we will have some parking with the buildings. We intentionally wanted to go out of our way to use the building to step down the grade and also shield the parking from the streets in general. That also gets the building away from the Parkway. So this is a three-dimensional perspective of what we're proposing. So you can see here where it is nestled up along Evergreen Road with the parking coming in the bottom. And this is an aerial site plan. So again, and Ray can go into more detail on this, but again, Evergreen Road is on the top of the screen. We are proposing an entry that would come along the west side. That entry would step up into two different terraced levels for the parking lot. The first terrace level right at the entry here, and then a larger entry, the main entry to the building would be at the central spot with a parking lot to the right there. And again, I know I'm going through this relatively quickly. I'm happy to take some steps back. Also did some conceptual elevations of what the building looked like across the site. So this is a perspective from Evergreen Road. It's important to note that it's actually not going to appear as tall as it is from Evergreen Road because it's stepped down and it's about 30 feet back. So we have a dark line there that actually shows up on the presentation as well and shows where that Evergreen Road profile would end up being. And this is a perspective. The beauty of computers and architecture now is that as we're actually developing documents, we're actually developing models. And so we have a three-dimensional model in the computer. We can actually place that on the site. We know where the topography is, and we can sketch over the top of that to add materials and items like that. So this is an actual representation of what it would appear driving from the top of Evergreen Drive. And this is that elevation from the Parkway. It's a two-story building all the way at the top of Evergreen Drive. It slowly becomes 4 stories. As you can see from the Parkway elevation, there is one small portion at the corner where it steps down and actually becomes a 5-story building briefly and then transitions to 4 stories again. And a perspective that we did from the Parkway. Understanding that this would have some presence on the Parkway, we wanted to make sure that it represented.
Excuse me, when you say Parkway, do you mean Old William Penn Highway there?
No, this is actually 376.
Okay.
So this perspective, anyways.
But right below the proposed site is Old William Penn Highway, and you would exit onto Old William Penn Highway.
Right, that's correct. So Old William Penn Highway on the perspective here actually cuts around and then cuts off just before you get to the site. Right. So because that goes under the Parkway, the Parkway...
Well, it's lower than the Parkway. It doesn't go under the Parkway. It's lower than the Parkway at that point.
Correct. And then for the building itself, it's 92 units that we're proposing. 44 of those are 1-bedrooms. 48 of those are 2-bedroom units, ranging from about 730 square feet for the smallest 1-bedrooms to 1,200 square feet for the largest 2-bedrooms. We do have an elevator. At this point, AR Building likes to put elevators in all their buildings. Every unit has some level of accessibility to it. So we have a range of either fully Type A units, to use an architecture term, to the other units that have full adaptability and can get converted into accessible units. It's a fully sprinklered building under an FPA 13R. Every unit has a roof deck as well. That's an amenity that people have really responded to well throughout the AR portfolio, and that's something we always tried to design in. Another thing we'd like to do are have large windows, especially as they face out to the view side, and we find that light really brings the quality of the space and the market from within.
What can you now pivot to the actual excavation that?
Sure. So let me tell you what, I will. Rest of the building plans.
We appreciate that other information to give everybody a good idea of what you're doing.
So the perspective from the entry, and then I can hand it over to Ray, who can talk about all that. So we do have floor plans up here. Happy to go into any of those. And then the site plan. So you just point the top if you want. So with that, I'll hand it over to Ray.
Thank you.
You just put it on top. Or?
My name is Ray Gusty from Farragut McCarty Gray. So for the conditional use, which you all know, it's anything over 10,000 cubic yards in Monroeville, you need a conditional use approval. So we have almost 24,000 cubic yards of earth. Our intent is to balance the site, the cuts and fills on site, so we're not hauling anything off or hauling anything in. That's our intent. We did a soils report that was submitted to your staff and reviewed by your staff. And we agreed, which we normally do anyway, to submit all the compaction tests and all the testing for the soil compaction that's done during construction to the municipality as well.
Okay. Paul, any issues with what Mr.
No, as far as,
Grassi just told
as far
us?
as the earth moving goes, our geotechnical engineer reviewed it. Everything seems to be in order. Just made some minor recommendations, which we'll take care of during construction.
Okay, thank you. Council members, questions? Members of the audience?
I have one. Did that state only
Mr. Come up and identify yourself, Mr. Serafini.
And Mr. Serafini, I'm sorry, did you get sworn in? Did you stand initially?
No, I just have a question.
If you could,
We'll
we could swear you in real
quickly.
quick. We just keep it official.
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth,
Always
so
do.
help you God.
Always do.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Proceed.
I saw on the thing, there's only one elevator for 92 units? Is that what that, I actually saw?
I believe that that's what the gentleman testified to, yes.
That's a hell of a lot of units for just one elevator going up and down. I mean,
That's something we can discuss more at the site plan, or, the site plan application, which is the next item.
Would you
So,
like to address that?
if anyone would like to address council?
Mayor, excuse me.
Why don't you hold off until we hear all the comments, and then you can,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, because we'll do the site plan next.
Good.
So we're talking about the cut and fill operation, so if anyone that has
That's
been
here.
sworn in earlier,
Now's your time.
now would be your time. Feel free to
Well, Mrs.
stand up.
Just come
Gary
up and
was first.
Sign in.
Hi, I'm Shayna Rowe. I live on Evergreen Drive. And this is my first time doing like a council speech, so I apologize. I'm a little bit nervous.
You're doing just fine.
Doing great.
No problem.
So I live on the property that's directly next to and behind this
Plan.
lot. Yeah.
What
so
is,
it's
what is your address?
3746.
And you're on the left side going down, going
Yes,
west?
yes.
And you're
So
the last house on
I'm
the
the
left
last
side?
house.
Okay.
And I just moved here last year. I moved from a real loud city.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. And I moved because it was really peaceful and quiet. I have a 10-year-old daughter. She likes to ride her bike up and down the road. She rides down to the corner where it meets Old William Penn, and then she circles back up and rides up. So I don't know, this is, to me,
You
it's...
wear a helmet?
She does.
Okay.
Absolutely. To me, it just seems like something that could be like a long duration of a lot of noise, and that's something that I'm personally concerned about, is how much noise, and it being like we don't have a sidewalk there, so that's like another thing, is I don't know if she's going to even be able to ride there anymore whatsoever. I usually go out with her, and I'm always on guard. It's relatively a very quiet street. We don't get a lot of traffic through there, so it's a concern of mine.
Okay.
But, thank you very much for letting me
Good job.
speak here.
Thank you, good job. Yeah.
To Ms. Rowe's point, as far as the cut and fill operation, gentlemen, how long do you anticipate that to be going on? For actually the cut and fill part of it?
I would say
Earth
probably
moving.
3 to 4 weeks for the cut and fill, the earthwork.
And then we also have stipulations as far as when they can do that, Mr. Hugus, the hours that they can
Yeah,
do that?
typical hours are 7 to 7. Now, council has the right to limit those more.
Okay.
Now, typically,
Is that
construction
7 days a
people like
week?
starting early, so,
Is that 7 days a week?
yes.
7 to 7, Monday, okay. Well, council, you could decide on Tuesday if you wanted to limit that in the conditions.
Do you feel the need that you have to have 7 days a week?
I don't think it'd be 5 days.
Okay.
5 days.
So we could limit it to 5 days, and you guys would still be 4 weeks?
I will always
Would
figure
that
5
make you more
days anyway.
comfortable, ma'am? Would that make you more comfortable?
Wouldn't they be building on top
This
of
is,
that,
we're
though?
we're only talking about the earth movement right tonight.
I don't know, I guess.
But
What?
if you would do it 6 days, you would have the opportunity to get it done more faster.
Right, so if we may take a step further, so you're thinking as far as the earth moving that long, I know we're gonna tiptoe, as Mr. Ratcher said earlier, we're gonna probably cross over into like the site plan as well, but as far as start to finish construction from.
Probably a year.
My guess was going to say 14 months, but
Yeah.
with-
Just
around
an
there,
estimate,
so
yeah.
Also, one more concern, I'm sorry, is just my property, and just it being that close to it.
Is yours here?
Yes, I'm like, I guess my backyard is going to be up on the parking, on the upper parking lot.
This is Evergreen.
Yeah.
Is this your house here?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
this is me here.
So we're cutting this down. We're trying to leave as much vegetation along your property line as we can. We're cutting this down so there'll be a slope in here, and then the building will start.
So yeah, I'm just worried about like the shaking and how much damage that might cause to the upper side of the hillside there, because it is there's like a lot of slopes, and it is on a my yard actually does slope down into those woods. So I didn't know if that would be.
You're not doing any blasting or
No.
anything like that, just excavating.
Correct.
And once again, Mr. Hugus, the engineer, obviously took into account all the neighborhood
Well, he just
adjacent
looked,
lots.
he looked at the soil makeup of the site. I mean, that's what they're looking for, is the soil savers and landslide prone soils, any bad soils, things of that nature.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you know what, young lady, you may have more questions on the next item coming up, so.
Always feel free to come up and
Yes.
communicate with
So,
us, please.
yes, anyone else would like to address council or ask questions regarding the
This
cut
is
bill?
I've
Gary.
been trying to get up here.
You've been waiting patiently, thank you.
I live across the street from this young lady.
If you just state your name for the record.
My name's Diane Etchegary.
Thank
I
you.
live at 3747 Evergreen Drive. I believe the last time I spoke, it said about sidewalks, and I think that is one of the things in Monroeville, that there is to be a sidewalk put in place along the edge of Evergreen there. I'd asked that question when I was here before.
Is that on the site?
I thought I had an affirmative on that.
Yes, there's a sidewalk.
That's on the site plan.
Okay. Also, I was wondering about the perimeter that will exist between Evergreen and where the downward level of the lot would start. Was wondering about that, and I was especially thinking about them because their fence and everything runs down there. And I thought there was a perimeter that was a designated perimeter space that was allowed to be there. Was
Are you
it?
speaking, you mean like a setback requirement?
Right, the
Yes.
reassessment.
There is a setback requirement, and they do meet that.
Okay, all right, that's what I was wondering. And also in that perimeter, if some of those old existing trees could be left in place, because it would provide some privacy for the people in Evergreen, and also it would be consistent with the other wooded areas in that area. Monroeville, I think, is a wonderful place because there are a lot of wooded areas in Monroeville. It gives us that look of semi-rural, more or less. And we really have a lot of wildlife here and everything in this area. So I was thinking about that. I already asked you about that. Oh, another thing I hadn't thought of before is how is that creek going to be involved in this? Will there be any need to do anything with the creek, or will it remain intact? Or
That won't be disrupted with the cut and fill operation, right?
it shouldn't.
We won't be doing anything near the leak run.
Okay.
Leak
Thank
run is over here. We're not,
Yeah,
we're
right.
not
Well,
touching that at all.
that one lot goes down and more or less, there's
We're
an
not-
old tree house right down in here that the kids built, and the creek's right down over the edge.
Yeah, the
of
creek
that.
is right here.
Oh, down that far.
It's down
okay.
this far, yes.
That's where the.
So we're not doing anything down. This slope all stays vegetated. We're not
good.
touching that.
Good, okay.
Do you think you'll be leaving the trees that she's talking about there?
It's just
I
along the
can-
edge
I
of
can
Evergreen.
flip this over. So these trees stay.
Okay, this is her house. Okay.
Yeah, her house is there. So these trees stay, and then what we cut, we create a new slope, and we'll add more landscaping to increase that buffer.
So this will be taken away then up here?
Well, this will all be revegetated then, after
Okay.
it's graded.
So those old trees won't be left there?
Correct. We have to take those out because of the grading.
I was
But
wondering about
we'll add some new vegetation in there once it's regraded.
I don't want any oak trees. They leave leaves all year long. Out
And,
there.
and to answer your other question, we have a sidewalk all along.
Yeah, that's what I'd asked before about, okay.
Could you
Young lady, do you
consider
want to go
trees
look
for
at the
that?
sidewalk?
Excuse me. Could you consider trees for that area that she's requesting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
It is evergreen, you know.
You can,
Thank you, yeah.
Also, what else? Oh, that's it. You addressed my other question by you're going to combine those two lots. At first,
Ms.
you
Etchinger.
hadn't gotten both lots, and I guess you're combining them into one now. So that answered my question I was going to ask it.
Yes, that's the third part, so
Yeah,
it's the
I'm skipping ahead here.
consolidation plans.
All right,
Great,
I
thank
guess that essentially answers everything. I am anxious for you people to go there. I'd like it to be forever a woods with the deer running through and all that stuff, but I realize reality has to be that something needs to be done there, so, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Setchinger.
Next, please.
Hi, my name is Michael Rowe. I'm her husband. I just have one question. Is this site going to diminish our property value at all?
I would know that.
Because we've been putting money into this house. Like, we just bought this house like a year ago, and I don't want it to diminish, like, all my money going into this house.
These are very high-quality apartments.
I don't know how they
Yeah.
assess that.
So this, I mean, they are very, very nice places. So-
It potentially could increase your value.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So I wouldn't worry about it, you know, it's a really nice establishment, the
Thank you.
places they put in.
I'm sorry, I forgot something. Could I just say one thing real quick?
You have to come
I
up.
was already sworn in. The
Hold your,
going-
wait till you get to the microphone. so
Yeah, we
can
got to
hear
get the
you.
microphone so we can hear
You're
you
good.
and get it recorded.
I forgot about this too. I'd said about it last time. For going out of the apartment complex, that they could make a no right turn.
Yeah, I remember you.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, we can, that'll be during the site plan.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
not
all
here
right.
tonight.
Site plan
Thank you.
approval.
Sorry.
Miss, you had comments? If you just state your name for the record, please.
My name's Heather Wilmot. First of all, I'd like to say it's Evergreen Drive, not Evergreen Road.
Okay, you have to face this way.
Yes.
It's
And
Evergreen
talk to
Drive, not Evergreen Road.
Yes.
First of all. Second of all, I actually live beside them. I lived in that house for 16 years, moved away, came back, and now have been living there for an additional 5 years, raising another family in that home. That lot has always been a lot with lots of growing trees. Those trees help to drown out the sound from the parkway, which, if you don't have that in your backyard, can be noisy. I've kind of grown accustomed to it in all the years that I've lived in that house. However, that's obviously about to change. So I wanted to find out what is going to be done for noise reduction from the parkway since those trees are going to be removed. Also, what when is the actual grading going to be done? Because we're now getting into back to school time. So there's going to be buses on the street. There's going to be kids, you know, that have to get up for school and go to bed for school. Kids walking on the street to get to the bus stop and things like that. So you're going to have heavy equipment on the road. We already have a traffic issue on that street, people using that as a cut through. I just wanted to find out what some of the plans for that, as well as the animals that are currently living in that wooded area. Once you start disturbing critters' homes, especially getting into fall season, they're going to be looking to come to warm environments, places where there are food. You know, we don't want rats in our house. We don't want extra, you know, raccoons and things like that that are going to be scurrying to find a place to live. So I wanted to find out what was going to happen.
We can speak
in that
about some couple of those issues while we do the site plan, but regarding the grading is what we're discussing now. Do you have the earliest we could approve any of this would be on Tuesday, at Tuesday's meeting. So if this was all approved, do you know a time frame, Ray, of when they would begin the grading process?
Well, we submitted for the NPDES permit. We need that for soil erosion control.
So you have to wait for that
To the
to come in.
county. I'm thinking probably like the end of October, beginning of November to start grading.
And can you grade over the winter?
Depending on the weather.
For the most part, you can.
That's a question from Mother Nature.
And also,
Got it.
you did hear, would limit it from 7 to 7, so that you're asking about times.
Right, but we also have an infant who
Right.
has, you know, a bedtime and a rise time, and
Right.
I mean, I understand that most
We're
of it will
trying
be
to
during the
control it
day.
to help as much as possible, so they're not allowed to work till 10 at night.
Right.
Or start at 5 in the morning.
Well, I think the other thing at that time of year, you know, your
It's-
windows are closed,
Yes.
it's colder, you're not.
Right, so the kids
you don't
won't be
listen-
out on
you're
their
not
bikes
listening
as
at all
much,
to-
and
But once again,
They
council
work
can
out in
decide
favor.
to limit those hours of
Right.
grading, and we can consider that.
And the
before
machinery is
Tuesday.
not gonna be up on Evergreen Drive, right?
No, it'll be all on site. It's not,
Right.
there's nothing going to be parking on Evergreen Drive. Everything will be contained on
Right,
site.
but that stuff's going to have to be transported elsewhere, correct?
no, he's gonna move, they're gonna move there on the site.
Right, but eventually that dirt has to go somewhere, correct?
It's all
So they're
staying
gonna
on
grade it
site.
onto the same site.
They're they're
all
gonna
staying
move
on
it.
site. It's
gonna
They're-
stay within the
They're taking
same
it at a high
boundary
point and
lines.
filling in low points
Okay,
on the
okay,
exact site.
that was
yeah.
my
Does that help?
misunderstanding.
However,
Okay.
probably some trees and probably some vegetation will have to be hauled off-site, I'm assuming.
Correct.
But as far as with the real cut and fill, the earth moving, yes, all the soil is gonna stay on this site, so there won't be heavy trucks driving soil out of the area.
The goal is to balance the cut and fill on site, so we're not hauling anything off or hauling anything in.
Okay, and the trees that are being removed, obviously, it's a large field with a lot of trees. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of trees being replanted afterward. Also, what is going to be put in place to help with noise from the parkway, and also for those of us who are literally butt up against the
building.
apartment?
I think to some degree the building will block the noise, depending on where you live, but,
My house is actually this house here.
okay.
It's not actually on the plan, but my house is right beside theirs. So we kind of have like a direct path,
Mhm.
and I'm
Well,
sure
there is
that
some
that's...
this vegetation is existing, a lot of this is off our property, so this vegetation all stays, so that helps buffer
Are you
some
going
of
to
it.
have any fencing or anything to...
No.
Okay. What about animal control during the excavation process?
I
Is that
don't have
typical?
an answer for that.
Is that something that has been done at other sites? Has that been done at other sites?
It's the first time that question's ever come up.
You need to come up to the microphone.
If you just repeat what
Yeah,
you said.
honestly, it's the first time that question's ever come up. I'm sure AR would be happy to look at it and understand if there's a big population to make sure that that's being controlled or.
How many of the previous apartment complexes that you've created have been placed in existing neighborhoods with houses, like our situation, as opposed to just a blank lot?
Right. A large number. We've done a mix in both.
I'm just, like I said, I don't want rats in our house. I don't want mice in our house. I don't want, extra critters. We all have pets along there and, kids and.
Is there an existing rat problem on the property?
There was, at the other end of Evergreen, when a house that was,
That was from that vacant house.
yes.
That was from the house, not the property.
Right, but this is a field where,
I mean, I have woods behind my house right now, there's mice down there. That get moved around when the deers go running through it.
right, but this is gonna be demolishing all of the vegetation there. And, we're just concerned with what the lasting effects are gonna be.
I would suggest you call animal control if there's an issue.
Yeah, Monroeville, we do have our own animal control.
Right, and he actually used to live on Evergreen.
Yes, he
right
was
down
your
the road.
neighbor,
So
right?
I'm
Across
sure
the
that
street.
AR would be willing to work with our animal control if there's a potential problem there.
Absolutely, to identify it. And I will say that of all the developments we have, I've never heard of an issue coming up before
Okay,
like this.
I
But I'm
just
sure
wanted to,
AR would be happy
But if something were to
work with
develop in this, I mean, we would certainly find a way to take care of it.
okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Anyone else for the public hearing on the cut and fill operation? Once again, there is a site plan approval that we'll be discussing, the subdivision that we'll be discussing. But as far as the cut and fill, that's the public hearing.
This is about the earth moving.
Yes. Can I Can I speak for
Sure.
one more thing?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to add on to a little bit of what she was talking about with the animals on the earth there. I think it was a couple months ago we had a surveyor come into those woods. They brought a truck in, and there are some groundhogs that have been living over there. We had a family of them, and we've recently, after that survey was done, they had a truck come through, and it I guess scared and rattled some of the dirt. So we've had a number of them actually coming underneath our fencing, and they've tunneled already, and our yard is already collapsing on that side. So I didn't know where they're planning on grading, if they're doing that there, because it's already collapsing on that side. So I don't know if they're going to pull more where our fence is, because it's going down where our fence is, and then past that. So I don't know if they're planning on bringing it up to even it, or if they're thinking that they're going to pull more down, because that would be literally from our properties.
So Ray, if you could show as far as where or Jeff, as far as the excavation goes.
So this red is the cut area.
So are you planning on pulling from right here, because this line right?
Yeah, just
I'm
the red,
actually- I
just
think
the
that-
colored part would be where
I
they're
think that I'm
removing
past this line.
This is your fence. This is
Yeah,
your fence.
this is my fence.
So
it's actually
we're beyond-
declining before my fence, is what I'm saying, is the
So it's
hill
on
has
on
been
your
collapsing, yes.
okay, on your property.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I don't
Well,
know if
I mean, I
there's-
think at the time of construction, the soils engineer can certainly take a look at that and see if there is going to be an issue there. And we have to remedy that
You
accordingly.
guys would work with the property owner if there's any
Right.
problems, and we could make that a stipulation
Right.
to,
And you would cover like any damages that would come to,
So what I'd say is, knowing AR like I do, if you're willing to exchange information, I'm sure they'd be happy to come out and you could meet the construction manager. He could talk about exactly what he's going to do, how he's going to do it.
Or talk to us, and we'll have our engineer
Well, we could
talk
set,
to them.
yeah, we'd set up a meeting with both
Yeah.
AR's
So-
representatives and our municipal representatives, and
Yeah.
they could walk the site with you and maybe tell you exactly what's going on, because sometimes it's a little hard to see it on paper versus going in your backyard. It's a lot easier.
but who's going to be responsible though for whenever that situation does happen? I'm not saying an if, because I kind of feel like it's a big if, like it's a big possibility that something is going to happen down the line if they're digging and if they're
That'd be the
moving the
contractors.
dirt.
Yeah, the developer's responsible for properly grading and not causing any problems on adjoining properties in the course of building the building. And I know they're well aware of that, and so if there are any issues, I think the point that Jeff made is very well taken, that you probably want to meet, since your property's so close, you probably want to have a meeting with the construction manager at the site. And so you have an idea what they're doing, how they're doing it, what measures they're going to take.
And we can also have our staff be there.
Absolutely.
well, and if there's any issues, you can always contact your councilman, you can always come back up here before us.
Yeah.
But they'll be very helpful, and,
'Cause,
you
I
know,
mean, we're-
on your behalf as well.
We're first-time owners,
I
so
understand.
this is like.
I understand. I'm
Yeah, you
sure
wanna
it's-
make sure it's done right.
I'm sure
I-
it's
right.
huge to you, and we want to make sure that you're protected as well. Believe me, that's our
We,
job.
we will protect you, how's that?
Yes. So I hope that makes you feel better.
Mm.
Well,
Come
when we're all
on,
said and
things
done, then
change.
maybe you could say, now I feel better. Okay.
But if you could, if you'd be willing to either give your
Yes.
your name and number, phone number
To them.
Here.
to them, to Jeff
Take-
and Ray.
Yeah, you don't have to do it.
Take
Tom.
my card.
You don't
And
have
Mr.
to do
Wilson
it
is the-
on camera.
Yeah, Mr. Wilson is your
You can
council
give them your
person.
information.
Mr. Wilson's the council person for
I live
the
on the
ward
other
where you
side.
live, so he would be a
I'll-
good
I'll put
contact
the stop
person
sign
for you.
going down
And you could certainly contact
But
me
my
as well.
cell phone's there,
if
call
you have
me
any questions or
anytime.
concerns.
And you wanna go there, we'll go there, we'll get it worked out. I promise you. You're welcome.
Is there anyone else that would like to make comments during this public hearing regarding this matter? Yes, sir. State your name for the record, please.
Craig Wilmot, 3748 Evergreen Drive, neighbors. And my question is really, since we're only talking about the grading and talking about the digging up of the soil, of all the places around Monroeville, why this spot? I mean, I see a lot of empty buildings around Monroeville. I see a lot of empty plots around Monroeville. Why at the end of a neighborhood? I don't know if I missed that, if I was outside, but
Well, the AR, they purchased the property and they're private property
They felt it's a
owners,
good opportunity.
and they thought it was a good location for them.
okay.
But the municipality has no control, I mean, other than the rules and regulations that we have. But if a private entity, or even a public entity, wants to purchase property and construct something, or rebuild something, or change something, and they follow our rules and regulations, they can do it, and we can only control and enforce our actual laws.
Okay. I mean, I was just curious of like all the empty spaces that I've seen around the town, why they chose to pick like an end of a neighborhood that's pretty much been freestanding for so many years, that's nice and quiet, and then you're just going to put an apartment complex there. That's my only question.
Price is right.
Anyone else would like to address council regarding this matter? Seeing none, we're going to close the public hearing
You never answered my question.
on item 1.
You never answered my question.
Your question.
Go next item.
It's the site, Mr. Serafini, respectfully, yes, it's the site plan, that's a question for the site plan, which we will address at this time.
Okay.
Moving over to our second item, it's still with the same development, AR Building Company Incorporated. And now we're going to talk about the site plan approval. The applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct a 92-unit multi-level apartment building and associated site amenities. Property is located along Evergreen Drive, near its intersection with Old William Penn Highway in the R5 multifamily residential use zoning district. And Mr. Campbell was already giving a little bit of presentation on that in his first time up. Is there anything else you would like to add to, as far as the site plan? I know you started getting into it a little bit. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing I'd like to add.
Ray, is there anything else you would like to add as far as the site plan itself?
I can briefly go through it.
If you could just briefly, I know we've been talking about, if you could briefly just go through it one more time, that'd be great.
Just to orient everyone, there's the Parkway East along the south property line. Old William Penn Highway is on the west. This lower left corner, Leak Run parallels Old William Penn, and then Evergreen Drive is along the north property line. As we mentioned earlier, it's a 92-unit apartment building. We're providing the required number of parking spaces, which is 1.5 spaces per unit. All utilities will be extended from Evergreen Drive. They'll be underground. We're adding 2 fire hydrants according to the recommendations from staff. There's an existing fire hydrant up in the opposite side of Evergreen in this corner. We're adding one at this bend in Evergreen Drive, and then one within the site that'll be close to the fire department connection. Stormwater detention will be an underground vault and located in this corner of the parking lot. We also have a small rain garden located here. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a sidewalk we're installing along the perimeter of along Evergreen Drive. I believe we've addressed all staff's comments.
How many of the 92 units would need the elevator to get access to their unit?
Jeff can answer that better than I could.
But I'll have to count.
Oh, I just a...
Sure, there's stairs, right?
There are
But
stairs.
I'm saying, no, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, so we have...
Sure, there's some units you don't need an elevator to walk in.
Making sure we have the right number of elevators is, no one's more concerned about that than AR, because they want to make sure, if tenants don't like it, they'll move out, and they want to make sure they have access to that.
Sure.
So we often look at this, and it's not 92 units, as you're right. We have 2 ground floors on this unit. We actually have 3 stairways as well, so people can access anything on that first floor and a half, just on grade. And then the second floor, usually we find, unless they're carrying a larger object, people are walking up to the second floor. And we have enough stairs that we have that accessibility. And then usually the 3rd and 4th floor, that's when they would use the elevator. But it is, it's a math equation. We have experts we'll go to that actually kind of look at this and look at waiting times and make sure that that's all balanced. And we found that, we've done, recently we completed a 104-unit development that did not have this grade issue, so it actually had more units accessible through the elevator, and it's not been an issue there.
How many units will be serviced by the elevator?
So every unit is serviced by the elevator. Some of them you don't need the elevator to get to it, though. Because
Right,
they're
I
on the ground
understand
floor,
that,
so-
but let's say the four stories, portion of the complex.
I'll ask.
Well, while Jeff's counting, Mr. Hugus, as far as elevators in apartment complexes, are there any regulations as far as what the municipality looks for?
All the regulations are done by labor and industry. All lifting devices are regulated by labor and industry, as well as the building code. So.
And certainly they
what's
would be
part of the
complying with
code,
that.
yes, they have to comply with that.
Okay.
I have a question to add.
Did you
to that
find
as
it?
well.
61.
Regarding the size of it.
So 61 units.
61 are on the second floor or greater, so.
Okay.
Right.
Yes,
So
so my question-
one
my-
elevator for 61 units.
That's correct. And
Wow.
again,
Yeah.
another 22 of those or so are on the second floor, and we find that typically people.
So in other words, you have the fourth level here, and then it works down to 2 levels here. Is that what you're saying?
We have fourth and a third, and then the second, and then the first has a piece on both sides.
When are you going to use an elevator? Just use the steps.
Do we have a question?
Yeah, I do.
I'll tell you when.
I do, yeah.
Mr.
Question again, too.
floor
I
is-
realize it's labor and industry governs the elevators, too. Consideration for size in terms of us being able to put an EMS stretcher into there as well. Do we know that size?
AR likes to size these so that people can use them to move as well. So when people are moving in, that's typically when the second floor will use the
Well,
elevator.
believe it or not, there's elevators in Monroeville right now that the ambulance crews can't put their
Can't do
cots
it.
in.
It doesn't work. So we do have a concern for that as well.
Is that something that you could get for us before Tuesday? So we, the actual dimensions of the
yeah,
elevator,
yeah.
that'd be great.
And also the safe capacity of that elevator.
That's labor and industry. I do that.
At some point.
That's under L&I.
Can you put 8, 10 people on
That's
it?
under labor, that's.
I know, I
under
just
L&I.
want to know what that is.
Oh.
And then, maybe if I could just talk about the building as it relates to the site plan. Right now, there's a stairway all the way on the right, there's a stairway all the way on the left, and there's a stairway in the middle. And one of the reasons that we do that is, to have appropriate exits, but it also allows the parking. People can park, if you park here, it gives you a spot that you can walk up to your second floor unit. And what we've found is that by doing that, people will frequently use these different stairs. AR does not. Some developments will lock every door to residents except the front door. AR does not do that, so they have a key to get into these other entrances, and they will typically use these to move up and down.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions about the site plan at this point?
Mayor, can I make a suggestion?
Yes, Mr. Hughes.
To limit all truck traffic, delivery trucks to access via Old William Penn Highway north on to Evergreen Drive. That'll keep it out of the residential neighborhood.
Right.
Well,
Now, are you saying, I'm sorry, Mr. Harvey, the during construction or?
Yes, during construction.
Okay.
Oh, not
Or if you want to do it all the time, that's fine.
permanently.
Well,
You're talking about the construction portion.
tough restriction there.
Yeah.
It's hard to police, but I mean during construction, then when you're bringing in machines.
Everything would come off Old
Yeah,
22.
concrete
Yeah,
trucks.
right.
That makes sense.
Council, you're
Come
okay
off
with
Old
that?
Penn.
Yes.
Yeah, if we could-
Absolutely.
So we could write that
Absolutely.
onto the conditions for Tuesday?
Yes.
Please, Mr. Hughes.
That way they're not coming through Garden City Drive.
Absolutely.
Right, it'd be easier anyway for you to come in off of Old William Penn Highway and just
That would be common sense.
come up and go east on Evergreen.
Makes sense, gentlemen?
Don't apply logic.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move over to our next item. It's the subdivision approval. Mr. Little.
Okay, this is number 3. Its applicant is requesting this is the same AR building. They're requesting a preliminary and final subdivision approval, tax parcel 742P236 and 742P216. Applicant proposes to consolidate the existing 2 lots into 1 lot. They'll be used for residential apartments, total 4.63 acres. The property is located along Evergreen Drive, not road, Evergreen Drive, near its intersection with Old William Penn Highway in the R5 multifamily residential use zoning district. And that'll be on the docket for Tuesday.
So I just have a copy of the consolidation plan. So there's 2 parcels, parcel A and B. Consolidated goes into one parcel, and then there's some additional right-of-way that would be dedicated to Monroeville it's within Evergreen Drive, so.
Council, any questions?
I actually am probably backing up one, but I just wanted to make sure, and I know Mr. Hugus knows I'm particular about this, that the entrances to your complex are flared enough that the fire truck can turn in. That they have to have room to turn in there, or it's.
Yes, they will have, we call them medium volume radiuses for that reason.
We'll double check those.
How about the ladder trucks?
Yes, it's for, they're gonna have the same problem when they have delivery trucks, so we have to make the radiuses large enough.
We did provide a turning template to Mr. Hugus for the fire trucks and the garbage truck.
Council, any other questions about the subdivision?
No, thank you.
Okay, seeing none. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And
Thanks,
we'll
guys.
be considering this on Tuesday.
Thank you.
And then please, if you could get the information from the residents.
Did you guys
Contact
give
me.
your information to them?
Moving over to our next item, Gateway Engineers.
Give it to the
Mr. Little.
Okay, yeah, this is item number 4 for Tuesday night. Applicant is requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval of tax parcels 639F75, 640B373, and 640B375. Applicant proposes to subdivide the existing 3 lots in order to reconfigure the lot lines and dedicated road right-of-way to the municipality. No additional lots are being created. The property is located at the intersection of James Street and James North Street in the R21 Family Zoning District. This is by the mall.
Sir, if you could state your name for the record, please.
David Housley, I'm a project manager at Gateway Engineers.
Welcome.
So, just as what it was said, there's 2 residential lots. At one time, they were already existing residential lots. They were accidentally consolidated on a previous consolidation plan. There was 2 homes on the property that have since been demolished. The county has, depending on which website you go to through the county, one has them as separate tax parcel ID numbers, the other does not. They still have them in as part of the main mall property. The description in the deed and the requirement of the county is, in order to sell off these 2 lots, we have to do a subdivision plan and go through all the approval process in order for my client to sell off the 2 residential lots.
So, Mr. Habala, if you could put up the camera one more time. Could you zoom into that image? And I might have the gentleman move it around a little bit.
You say it's vacant property right now? There's no homes on it?
No, they've both been demolished.
Okay.
Okay, very good. If you could just pull that down towards you a little bit.
Turn it.
Yeah, you got it.
Now, if you could just orient us as far as where's James, where are we at?
So James Street is right here,
Okay.
along the front. And then this is, I guess you could call this the back entrance into the mall, the access point.
It's
into the
James
mall.
Street Extension, it's the back entrance.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Oh, so this is actually the parcel, there was the
If you
home.
come to the
right at
top of the
There
hill,
was
you
2
look to
homes.
your right, there used to be.
Coming out of the
Parcel
mall.
to the left, if you're
I
looking
know
to
where
going
it
down
is.
to the mall.
Okay.
It's
Now I
currently
know
vacant
exactly.
lots that they maintain.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, that makes sense now.
All right, this might even help you if I flip it over and give you a little bit of a sense of where the location of
They
these
want to
are.
make this into one big lot.
We got you now. I think we
Okay.
all understand where it's at.
Yeah.
So
I
there,
couldn't see that picture. I had
Yeah.
no idea. We're trying to look
I was a
at
little
the phone.
confused at first also, and I lived there.
Oh,
so the road right-of-way to the municipality,
I'm sorry?
whenever they refer to the road right-of-way to the municipality.
I think per the engineer's comments, that was actually a county road. So
Yes,
we've
it's,
changed it.
it's a dedication to Allegheny
Allegheny
County,
County.
not to the municipality.
Okay, so we'll have to change that for Tuesday.
Yes.
And then James North Street,
It's private.
that's the private, okay, very good. Understood. Council, do you have any other questions regarding this matter?
No.
Thank you. We'll be considering
Thank
this
you.
on Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving over to our next item, ExtendNet Systems. And this is one more public hearing item. We have 3 items. Is that correct, Mr. Little?
Well, there's numbers 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all with Extenet, and it's a public hearing for a conditional use. And I will let the applicant here explain what this is all about, but this will be a public hearing, so I guess Mr. Ratcher will swear everybody in and
Yeah, actually, this is going to be 5 public hearings since these are separate parcels in different places. So we'll try to get the gist of it on the first one, and then we can just roll along here. First one is 18-5-C, Extenet Systems, Inc. Would you identify yourself, please?
My name is Caitlin McKinley, and I work for Network Building and Consulting, and our client is Extenet Systems.
Okay. Caitlin, thank you. We're going to swear you in right now. Is there anybody in the audience that thinks that they want to ask questions or give testimony? Okay, would you raise your right hand, please? Be sworn. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
So, like I said, my name is Caitlin, and we have 5 separate applications into the municipality to replace existing telephone poles with new poles that will have a neutral host antenna on it for telecommunications companies to utilize through Extenet to increase coverage and capacity along the main corridors.
Okay, so this the first application, 18-5-C, is at 4317 Northern Park.
Yes.
And what kind of a pole is presently there?
There's a 30-foot wooden pole there currently.
And what do you propose to place there?
We need to place a 40-foot wooden pole to comply with Duquesne Light's envelope of separation from the power lines.
Okay. So the pole that's there now is a Duquesne Light pole?
That's correct,
And
yes.
I'm assuming you have a master agreement with Duquesne Light to locate these?
That's
Is that
exactly correct, yes.
So you replace it, you actually swap it out?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about the antenna or the receiving device that you put at the top.
I'd be happy to. Can you guys get my computer up on the screen, or is that not possible?
It is possible. Mr. Habala, do you have Caitlin's? He's getting there.
While that's coming up, 4317, just for everybody's reference, is in front of the McDonald's.
Yeah.
That's correct, exactly.
What am I looking at?
I don't know what's punched up. I brought up the,
Caitlin, is that familiar to you?
Yes, that is
image?
my background, but that is not what I'm looking at currently.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the construction drawings. Do you guys see any construction drawings?
No.
No.
Well, let me answer your question.
Yeah.
The antenna itself is 24 inches tall and looks almost like a top hat on top of
Okay.
the wooden pole itself.
Okay. What's the circumference or the width of it roughly? Do you know?
Let me see. It would be the same. It would be the same circumference as the telephone pole itself,
Oh,
so
okay.
it wouldn't be overhanging like a mushroom.
It doesn't exceed beyond the pole.
Mhm.
And it doesn't make any kind of noise or vibrate or do anything like that?
No, sir.
There are no lights associated with this?
No, not per FCC regulations. They don't need to be lighted.
What about ground-based equipment?
There are none. For everything in the PennDOT right-of-way, they do not allow Extenet to put ground-based equipment, so they're all mounted to the pole themselves.
Okay. So in addition to the antenna itself, there will be other equipment up on the
There will be one single cabinet as well as some additional cabling.
What's the approximate dimensions of that cabinet?
Let me check for you.
And is that cabinet down at the ground level?
No, sir. The cabinet will be installed at a height that will be inaccessible to anybody other than Duquesne Light and the service providers. The cabinet itself is 52 by 12.
Okay.
Caitlin, do you have any illustrations on hard copy the council could look
I
at?
do, yes. Thank you
Yes,
for
that'd be
asking.
helpful.
Paul actually asked me to bring some photographs of some work that we've done so that you guys can see.
Caleb, what
Pass
is
those
the
on.
benefit of this
Well,
program?
You know what, hold your comment for a second until
I can
get back
pass
to the
it.
microphone.
Thank you.
Those will be available to the public if anybody wishes to look at them.
And then we'll also have one for Tuesday's meeting that we can put up on the screens as well. We'll get one to Mr.
well,
Ball.
actually, if she would set it down on the
Pass
where her
it down, yeah.
laptop is
Send the
there,
picture
I
down
can
here.
show them on the iPad. Got
It's
it.
only
Oh.
four.
Yes, we will do that, Joe.
There's a little piece of tape wherever your device is.
Let me just see
And you
that
set
one.
it right on that piece of tape.
they're all different plans. So to answer your question, why is Extenet proposing these changes to utility poles? Extenet is in business because the landscape of the telecommunications industry has changed.
Is that a picture? Yeah, put it right in the middle. You can see on the screen what's showing.
That's the illustration
Do you have
of,
a real picture? to put up?
there are a few being passed around.
We're getting
Better
there.
put up there.
I think the poles look
Nice.
rather nice, yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, for a pole, right?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't finish answering your question, sir. Extenet is in business because telecommunications companies are finding that there are capacity issues where there's already coverage. So instead of placing a giant tower to address high volume usage, like for GPS, for streaming music, where in those main corridors where you'd see the most kind of hit on the capabilities of that large tower. Thank you. Perfect.
Great. You're not allowed to keep this.
So if you could
Slide
slide it over towards your laptop.
There you go.
Caitlin, look up at the camera there, you can tell.
Excellent.
I think you want to
This
put
is
up
an
the
example
delivery.
of what was just approved by the city of Pittsburgh near Consol, I guess PPG paints now. You can tell how long we've been going back and forth with the city of Pittsburgh. This is an example of the pole-mounted equipment box as well. So if you see here, it's about 10 feet up, 15 feet up.
Yeah, and that's good because that gives us an idea of the
Yeah.
scale, which is really what we were after, how it would look when it was up on the pole. And it seems to me to be similar to things you see on existing poles, where you see small cabinets that either Duquesne Light or the
Yes.
phone company uses for their operations.
Exactly, yes.
This is probably more, with being the wooden pole, it's probably pretty accurate what it's going to be, right?
Yes, this is the work that we just completed in Shadyside, and this is a 40-foot wooden pole with the little antenna on the top.
That's what you're asking for? That one, not this other one?
These are decorative light poles. We are asking for a decorative light pole in Monroeville SE2, but these are what we're proposing for every other site because there are no other decorative light
Just
poles in the
utility
area. Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry, I still haven't answered the question. Why is Extenet proposing this?
Well, I'm sorry, you did answer the question.
Okay, did I?
Yeah, for GPS and streaming and stuff.
That's exactly correct, yes.
Yeah, so it just gives you better reception or whatever. Thank you.
At this point, is there anybody in the audience that would like to make a comment or ask a question? Mr. Hennings.
Tom Henningsen, resident, Monroeville. Monroeville has a streetscape that aims to get the utility poles, utilities below ground. My question is, what happens now when you put an antenna on top of one of these things? Does that become a permanent installation if you later decide to remove the utility pole?
Well, I think that that would be up to the, if we tried to have the pole removed, if the municipality tried to have the pole removed, obviously that would be an issue between the owner of the pole and Extenet.
But I mean, could the applicant come in later and claim, well, you approved this installation, so you can't take it away?
Well,
You
that-
know, if you look
yeah.
at 22 as an example, Duquesne Light has a series of utility poles. I don't know how they stand up. You know, a lot of them are overloaded,
Right.
and I guess they don't know which way to fall. If the applicant came in and said, I think what she's saying is that we are going to replace a pole, so that dilapidated pole is,
Sure.
we are going to put a better one in, and then we are going to put an antenna on top of that.
Yes.
And I guess it wouldn't do any damage at this point, but should you have a stipulation in here that some of the proposed locations are pretty close to 22.
I think the idea is to get them into the high-density areas
Sure.
where there's more
Yeah.
need for reception and capacity and so forth.
But I'm just saying, I'm not against it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you should think about the future here.
No, that's a good question.
Point
Yeah, so-
taken.
Yeah,
Point
exactly.
taken.
So I understand what your point is as far as in new development, we bury utilities. They are underground. In this case, we are replacing a pole. However, Mr. Hugus, are there any other sites where we have taken existing poles and removed them and put those utilities underground, or has that only been with new construction that we've done that?
Only new construction. And one of the poles that she speaks of is a decorative streetscape pole. They're replacing that with the antenna on top of it.
What location is that so we can get it
In
in
front
the
of Penn
record?
Plaza,
Exactly correct, yes.
Which is,
Subway, the vitamin store,
Vitamin shop.
across the Miracle Mile.
okay.
I think there's another
Oh,
one.
is that at Johnette Plaza, 4099 William Penn Highway?
That's an existing utility pole.
Okay.
The decorative pole is in front of the Penn Plaza.
Oh, okay.
So to Mr. Henningson's point,
4145.
if this council or future council were to decide to bury all of our utilities to improve the aesthetics of the community, how does that work with this situation or the existing
May I make a
Duquesne
suggestion?
and, what's that?
May I make a suggestion?
Yes, please.
There is a master service agreement in place for, in this case, Duquesne Light and Extenet, and the carrier themselves, which is Verizon. So if Monroeville were to approach Duquesne Light and talk about burying utilities in the future, they would be in breach of contract with Extenet, but that would not necessarily affect your conversation with Duquesne Light. They would just need to choose to break the agreement, essentially.
Okay.
Or you could, I don't know, you could force them to
Let
break the
me
agreement.
just add, though, as a little bit of background, I don't know if you're aware, but there is a Pennsylvania Supreme Court case from, I believe, the late 50s, where Monroeville tried to bury the poles. And it's been standing for 60 years, and it stands for the concept that that can't be regulated by the municipality. So the idea that we're going to be able to bury those poles on 22 or in the commercial district where there are presently poles, probably not going to happen. Now, it's a different story when you're talking about a new subdivision where you start out and you put it underground. But that case, if you read any cases about utilities and the regulation of utilities with municipalities, you read about Monroeville versus Duquesne Light. It's a seminal case in the history of the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. So
How about that?
we're
So there-
probably that's probably not something we're going to face here in the near future because the law is pretty settled on it.
Okay. Very good.
Okay.
Caitlin, yes.
What I was going to ask you is, with the exception of the pole at, I believe it's 4145 William Penn Highway, where you're going to do the decorative pole because there's an existing decorative pole there, are all of these applications the same with respect to the height of the pole, the nature of the cabinet, and the antenna, or are they different?
I'm not an RF engineer, so I can't speak to the minutia of the
I'm
antenna
talking the
themselves.
physical characteristics.
The only thing that stands out to me is that I had it written down here. One is being swapped, here it is, Monroeville SE5, which is 2727 Moss Side Boulevard. In order to meet the Duquesne Light requirements in the master service agreement, we have to replace the existing wood pole, which is 40 feet, with a 45-foot pole.
Okay, so let's do this then. What I'm trying to do is get through these 5 hearings without repeating anything,
Gotcha.
for the benefit of all of us. So let's close the hearing on 18-5-C and go to 18-6-C. And that is for a pole at 2727 Moss Side Boulevard. And you're telling me that that pole will be a 40-foot pole, correct?
No, sir. We are replacing a 40-foot pole with a 45-foot pole.
Okay, you're going 40 to 45 there.
Correct.
The equipment will otherwise be similar to the equipment that's being placed on the other poles.
Exactly correct.
Is that correct? Does council have any questions with respect to that location?
No, sir. No.
Okay, let's go to 18-7-C. That is at, let me find here, William Penn Highway and McMaster's Drive. What's the height of the pole there and the replacement? and
The
its
height of the
replacement?
pole is 30 feet, and the replacement is 40 feet.
Okay. Will the equipment be similar to the other installations?
Yes.
Okay. Council have any questions on that one?
Will it be decorative or a pole?
These are
This will
replacement
be a
poles.
utility pole.
Replacement pole?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions,
I have no
council?
question.
Okay. Let's go to 18-8-C. This is 4145 William Penn Highway, and I believe this is the location where you're going to have the decorative pole.
That's correct.
Other than the decorative pole, will there be anything else will be unique about this site from the others?
I don't believe so. It'll be very similar to what's there. It'll be a sleek design that matches the rest of the poles. Because it's still in the PennDOT right-of-way, the cabinet will be similar,
Okay.
if not the same, just painted to match.
Okay. And let's finally go to 18-9-C, which is 4099 William Penn Highway. What about that pole?
It's a 30-foot pole being replaced by a 40-foot wooden pole. It'll be the same as all of the other proposals, including the equipment box.
Is the equipment to be similar on those poles as well?
Yes.
Okay. So let's incorporate the testimony from 18-5-C with these other applications, and we'll be complete here. Are there finally any other comments or questions from the audience? Let the record show that no one came forward. Council, anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, close the public hearing.
Good job. Thank you.
Considering this on Tuesday then.
Thank you.
Perfect. We'll be here.
Moving over to our motions. We have 4 of them. Mr. Little.
Okay, 4 motions. The first one is a motion to authorize to advertise the municipal separate storm sewer system fee ordinance, otherwise known as MS4. Council has had copies of that ordinance. Any discussion or comment? It'll be on the agenda this Tuesday to authorize to advertise.
Questions, council?
I have one point of
Comment?
order. I think the ordinance actually has a different name. Mr. Yugas, is that correct?
Yes, it's the pollution control and flood reduction fee ordinance.
So we probably just want to give it the proper nomenclature there so we don't get mixed up later.
Any other questions, council? The next motion, Mr. Little.
Okay, the next is a motion to appoint the pollution control and flood protection engineer, otherwise known as the MS4. Council has received the proposals from HRG and also MS Consultants. Any discussion on that from council?
Next motion.
Okay. Next one is a motion to appoint the pollution control and flood protection billing entity. And this is what Mr. Fulkerson was talking about at the outset of the meeting, and council has a comparison proposal from the Turtle Creek Valley COG to do the billing for the pollution flood control protection program, and also from the tax office. Any questions on the comparison of the two entities from council?
I would just make just a point.
I
that-
do have, excuse me, I do have one question. Under the one-time cost, under the one-time software cost, I believe the COGS cost was $10,000, and the tax office is $25,000.
That is correct.
Okay, now, these are separate costs from the two totals of $72,000 and $80,000, is that correct?
No, they are
They're
included.
included in there?
They're included.
Okay,
Everything is inclusive in the bottom line.
okay, thank you.
And then, once again, to get to the bottom line, the COG comes in at 72,000, and our tax office is 80,000.
That is correct. And also attached to the comparison is the actual proposals from each entity, the tax office and the COG. Any other questions from council?
This should look.
And there was a question about the dates. It looks like the date from the tax office proposal was February 22nd,
Correct.
2018. Okay. Questions, council?
Just quickly, if the tax office would go away by the home rule charter changes, then the tax collector would be gone, and we would have to then pay another entity to restart up the program.
Well, that's a policy decision for the council at that time. I mean, if.
But if that happened, the software startup would have to be, because they show a number.
What if COG would go away?
Yeah. Smart move.
I mean,
So those are two ifs right there, but
Yeah.
if we look at, we do have the spreadsheet in front of us, and then there is also the, do we have a recommendation from the MS4 committee? Mr. Little, is there a recommendation, or is that, or not? There wasn't one given.
There wasn't one given
Just
as
the
far
black
as,
line numbers.
this is the proposal that I sat down with Mr. Fulkerson and Liz Sommer back in January, as I stated before, and I also sat down with Amanda Settlemeyer around the same time, latter part of January, and put the proposals together. They're pretty straightforward.
Okay.
so, Mr. Both entities had an opportunity to study these proposals and put out their bids
Yeah.
at the same
That's correct.
time or
Same
whatever.
time, exactly, at the same time.
The same year.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
So Mr. Fulkerson got to see this and COG also. And
I mean, no, they didn't see each other's proposal. I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
No, but
They were asked to give a proposal to do the collections. These are the stipulations as far as how many
yeah,
households.
the stipulations were equal.
They were,
Everything
they were
was-
equally given
Okay.
the parameters. And then from there, they both submitted independently their,
And this is the final outcome.
exactly.
Okey-doke.
Anything else, council? Mr. Little, our next motion.
Yeah, the next one is a motion to approve a full-page advertisement for the bands of Gateway High School PIMBA Marching Band Competition Program Book amount of $75, and I believe that is a full page, Mr.
Full-page ad, Mr. Wilson.
There you go.
2 pages.
No, no, no,
It's
no,
about
no,
time we
no, no, ready yet.
recognize that.
Okay.
Great. Happy to support them.
There you go. Thank you, Mayor.
Moving over to our resolutions. We have 3, and the first one is a public hearing. Mr. Little.
Yeah, okay, this is a resolution for approving the transfer of Eating Place liquor license number E1832 into the Municipality of Monroeville for the Sheets on 2100 Moss Side Boulevard. And any time, for the benefit of the public, anytime a liquor license is transferred into the municipality and it exceeds the 3,000 per population liquor license, it has to be approved by the local elected body. So this is the case here, and this is a public hearing, so I guess I'll turn it over to Mr. Ratcher.
Okay, we will commence the public hearing for liquor license number E-1832 for the Sheets at 2100 Moss Side Boulevard. Sir, would you identify yourself, please?
I would be more than happy to. My name is Mark Kozar. I'm with the law firm of Flaherty and O'Hara. And I am here on behalf of Sheets this evening.
Great. Can you raise your right hand, please? We'll swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I absolutely do.
Please proceed.
Is there anyone else from the audience?
Well, I'll get them as they come up.
Okay, very good. Mr. Kozar, welcome. Thank you for spending your evening with us.
It's been interesting. Actually, I have to admit, I am a former resident of Monroeville. I lived on East Patty Lane, near where the new light is going, and then I later lived on Illini Drive.
Very good.
So
You're familiar with Monroeville?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And then I ended up marrying a girl from Mount Lebanon, and then I had no choice where I lived.
The way that works.
Yeah, interesting how
Could
that
have been the
works.
clue.
I was actually here about a year ago for a Sheets store out on Route 22. Again, I'm here to ask that you pass a resolution permitting the intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license from outside the municipality to within it pursuant to the revised liquor code, Title 47, Section 461B3, for use at the Sheets store at 2100 Moss Side Boulevard at the intersection with Route 130. I'll kind of truncate my presentation a little bit. In order for you to make a decision on our request, I'll just give you a little bit of background information on Sheets. Sheets was founded in 1952 with a single store in Altoona. Since that time, Sheets has grown to over 600 stores in 6 states. Over 300 of these stores sell beer, including 82 stores here in Pennsylvania. We have 39 other applications currently pending before the PLCB. As you know, Sheetz is building a new store on Moss-Side Boulevard. That new store will add a sit-down dining area for seating for 30, and as such, it will qualify for a restaurant liquor license under the liquor code. And as part of that plan, Sheetz would like to sell beer to go and, to a much lesser extent, beer for on-premise consumption. Sheetz plans on having a similar to what you would see on the Route 22 store and the one on Business 22. They will have a beer cave where all the beer will be located. They will carry approximately 150 different kinds of beer, including all the national brands and craft beers and local beers. All beer must be paid for at a separate cash register. All on-premise beer consumption will be limited to the sit-down dining area. There will be no outdoor beer consumption permitted. Although the store will be open 24/7, beer sales are limited from 7 a.m. until the beer cooler is locked at 1:45 a.m. Monday through Saturday. Sunday beer sales statutorily cannot start until 9 a.m. This is an e-license for those of you who don't know the difference. This is a beer-only license.
No wine.
No. You're jumping ahead of me.
I do it all the time.
You have no idea.
Eating place licenses kind of are an old vestige from the end of Prohibition. There were certain places that didn't want to sell anything but beer, so an e-license was created. You don't see many of them around anymore, and as part of Act 39 of 2016, the PLCB, or the legislature, saw fit to permit people that have e-licenses to pay a minimal fee of $30,000 to convert their license from an e-license to an R license that would permit them to get a wine expanded permit to sell up to 4 bottles of wine to go. And Sheetz will eventually do that with this license. But right off the bat, you can't convert a license until it's been approved by the PLCB and you've been open, so that won't be for a while. Sheetz has a comprehensive responsible alcohol management program in place. All Sheetz employees receive the Bureau of Liquor Control Enforcement created RAMP training, which stands for Responsible Alcohol Management Program. This teaches people how to recognize fake IDs, how to recognize visibly intoxicated persons, and how to recognize pass-off situations where someone who is 21 may be attempting to purchase beer for someone under 21. Second, all Sheetz employees receive their internal computer-based alcohol management training. Third, Sheetz has a 100% carding policy. They use a card scanner, which is connected to their cash register. If somebody comes in and a fake card goes through, it'll show up no sale. If an underage card goes through, it shows up no sale. In addition, even if you go in with your driver's license and it's expired, it will show up as no sale. That happened to me. So it was a reminder that I need to renew my driver's license. In addition, I couldn't buy the beer I wanted. Sheetz also has an interesting policy that none of our other clients have, and that is if 2 or more people show up at the cash register with a 6-pack of beer, they card all the people in the group. And if any one person is under 21 years old, they will not make that sale. And they actually write up a written report on that attempted purchase, and they tag their security camera system of that.
If anybody was under 21, why would they even be with them in the store?
Doesn't make sense to me, but that's their policy. If more than one person.
Well, that's good. That's a good policy.
Yeah, I agree.
Are people under 21 allowed into your beer cave?
No, they are not. And there's signage all over
right,
the beer cave.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sheetz has a 2-beer limit for on-premise consumption. Quite frankly, we'd rather not serve beer for on-premise consumption, but back in 2007, we lost a court case in the state Supreme Court, and the state Supreme Court said, well, if you're going to sell beer to go, you have to at least offer beer for on-premise consumption. Sheetz doesn't in any way promote on-premise consumption. There's no happy hour, no drink specials, and they have imposed a 2-beer limit for on-premise consumption. In addition to the employee training, 2-beer limit, and the 100% carding, Sheetz stores typically have in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 security cameras that cover the inside and the outside of the store. There will be a camera inside the beer cave and a camera on the door of the outside of the beer cave. There are monitors right above the checkout registers that rotate the cameras through. In addition to that, Sheetz has a big old warehouse over in Altoona called their Security Operations Center. And if you notice when you go into Sheetz that employees have little earbuds in, and there's a little item you can press. Any Sheetz employee in any store can press that button, and they're immediately in contact with the Securities Operations Center in Altoona, which brings up the camera that will show this particular person. And they can talk down to that person and say, what's your situation? What's going on that you might need help with? And the Security Operations Center is manned by people who are trained in security operations, and they talk a person through the issue. And quite frankly, if the issue requires local police involvement, it's actually the Security Operations Center that contacts the local police department. The Security Operations Center in Altoona records video and maintains it for up to 7 years. And Sheetz routinely provides videotape to local police departments in the event that there's criminal activity on the Sheetz property or in their store, or in the event that their camera just happens to catch an intersection or an area where criminal activity might have taken place, that the local police department would like to look at that security footage. This isn't a place where people are going to come and hang out to drink. There's no video games, pool tables, jukeboxes. It's going to be a well-lit, safe, secure place where customers can purchase prepared foods and a 6-pack of beer and later on a bottle of wine to take home. Sheetz is a responsible owner that's making a significant investment in Monroeville. That investment will be protected by responsible management and well-trained employees. And for those reasons, we'd ask that you pass a resolution permitting the transfer of this license into Monroeville for use by Sheetz. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Counsel? Nothing?
No questions.
Are there any parties in the audience that would like to ask a question or give testimony? Seeing none, we will close the record. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sticking with our resolutions, Mr. Little, down to our second resolution, please.
Okay, a resolution approving the disposition of records as set forth in the Municipal Records Manual. Council can see this is the second edition of disposing of records, thanks to our summer help that we have had this summer. The young ladies have done a phenomenal job of rooting out the records that we do not need, and there's even some more to go. But they may have to wait. As you can see, it's rather extensive. It's the most extensive that I have seen, and you had even a more extensive one last month. Any questions on that? Nope. Okay, item number 3 is a resolution adopting the Evergreen Apartments sewage planning module. This is what Mr. Gusty was referring to, that he needs before he begins grading. Any questions on that, Council? Nope. Okay, and that concludes the resolutions, I believe.
Very good. Moving over to our ordinances, we have one for this evening. Mr. Ratcher.
Thank you. This is an ordinance amending the code of the Municipality of Monroeville and ordinance numbers 2361, 2416, 2520, 2533, 2574, 2598, 2610, and 2657 by amending and restating the rules and regulations of the Police Civil Service Commission. And this is a project that the Civil Service Commission has been working on with their independent counsel. And the purpose here is to bring our civil service rules and regulations into compliance with the law and with the Home Rule Charter and other regulations.
Council, any questions? Very good. Moving over to reports of municipal staff, Mr. Ratcher, will leave it with you if you have any other comments.
I have a couple things, I'll hold them until Tuesday.
Very good. Mr. Little.
Yeah, before the three items delineated under my report, one item that I wanted to bring to council's attention, this municipality has needed a new street sweeper for maybe 10 years. And the one we have it's not even on its last leg. It's in bad shape, and we need a new one. And a new one costs $250,000. Now, this was not, it may have been briefly brought up at the budget sessions last year, but we do have enough funds in the capital fund to purchase that for approximately $250,000. I just wanted to bring that to council's attention. Basically, we had $271,000 and some change. And I just wanted to bring
question,
that to
since
Yes, sir, Mr.
in the
Wilson.
past you have leased some equipment,
Correct.
but would it be to our advantage to lease this item rather than purchase the item?
I have discussed that, and it's the first question that I ask of Mr. Adams, our Public Works Superintendent, the same question you asked. And initially, we were going to go in that direction. However, he comes back to me and says the street sweeper is really bad. Now, we would talk about this during the budget sessions, the budget hearings starting November the 1st, tentatively scheduled, and we'll get into that when we get into the budget. But what needs to be done is when the fall approaches, the street sweeper is needed for leaves. So this is why I'm bringing this to council's attention right now, that I am going to go ahead and purchase this if it is okay with council.
But are they available like like you go to a car dealer and you pick them up right away?
No, not that quickly, but
they have
we
one.
have a demo here.
There's a They have a
demo over
Fortunately,
there.
that,
That's what,
and
you're
we're
gonna
going to
get
be
a
able to
good
pick
price
that
on it
up.
because it's the demo.
Correct.
So is this price that you're giving us is for the demo?
Correct.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Go for it.
Council?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in.
You have your direction there, Mr. Little.
Okay, item number one, these are just all FYIs. Monroeville Jazz Festival will be August 8th up at the Community Park Amphitheater.
18th.
Excuse me, August 18th, excuse me. And there's for jazz, Emmett Cohen is the headliner. Monroeville Foundation Golf Outing is September 14th at Meadowwink in Murraysville. And Celebrate a Healthy Monroeville Wellness Expo is Saturday, September the 29th. This is going to be a different rendition of Celebrate Monroeville. So that concludes my report.
Very good. Mr. Hugus.
I'm good.
Ms. Rock.
I do have something this month.
Get up and
I'd
listen.
like to mention that the comprehensive annual financial report for the year 2017 is available. Our auditors met with the Finance Council Committee, Tim and myself, to present the audit. We received a clean opinion from the auditor.
Yay.
And all council members should have received a copy of that CAFR. And if you have any questions, I would be glad to answer them for you. If you want anything researched, I could do that. And for the public, once council gives their approval, we will put a copy of the CAFR on our website.
As we do every year.
As we do every year.
Excellent. Council, any questions for Ms. Rock?
I just have to say I was happy to attend that meeting, and it was explained very clearly to everyone. And Mr. Little and I, it was a great report, not a good report. And it's just nice to be above water.
Agreed. Very good. Ms. Rock, anything else for this evening?
Nothing.
All right, council, yes, if you want to review the CAFR and have any questions for her department, please let her know. And then moving over to our council people, Mr. Wilson, you're already talking, we'll leave it down there.
Thank you. I'd like to send my condolences to Jim Macaluso, the passing of his wife. And Jim has been so active within the Senior Citizen, Monroeville Senior Citizen Council. And, well, Jim has helped make the program, or the whole senior citizen program a strong success. Also, I would like to congratulate our neighbors through the individual borough service to the community. It's called the Cecil K. Lieber Knight Awards. John Bova from Pitcairn, now a Monroeville school board member, or Gateway school board member. John Prunsicle of Pitcairn. And then Rollo Vecchio got the Donald E. Carmen Award. And I would like to congratulate those three individuals. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Mr. Arasinko.
Yeah, same with the Macaluso. Jimmy, I think Tom said it all. What a wonderful guy. Condolences to the family. I just have a couple items from the Allegheny County Bros Association Board of Directors, and I think council will be very tickled with some of them. On our 2018-2 resolution, it clarifies that banks and lending institutions that have mortgages have a vested right in any property for which they hold a mortgage. But that's also, we're going to try to, hopefully we get it passed in Harrisburg, to make them responsible to keep up. In other words, we'll have the juice to make them keep up that property up to our codes. Now, I know we chase that all the time, but this is actually going to give us a lot of teeth. Hopefully that'll get passed in next session. That's a good one. The other one is, and it's interesting we had on this wireless, this is 2018-3, resolved that the Allegheny County Bros Association as well as PSAB oppose any legislation that would strip the municipalities of their legal authority to regulate wireless facilities both within and outside the public right-of-ways, limit a municipality's ability to negotiate and collect reasonable fees for collection on municipal infrastructure, or mandate municipal cooperation. That's another good one that we are certainly hoping to get passed in Harrisburg. And last but not least, we're still involved with the HR 291, which again, the Allegheny County Bros Association and PSAB oppose, and their associate efforts to eliminate the local income tax collection districts authorized under Act 32 of 208 and replace it with a statewide collection. As I had stated before, I don't ever think that the state has the capability of the efficiencies that we are currently getting from our current collector on that, which is Keystone. And hopefully we keep that at bay, but there is some little bit of legs of that in Harrisburg. So, and with that, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Johns.
Yes, sir. I'd like to take a minute and ask, not only in my neighborhood, but in all the neighborhoods in Monroeville, the residents, do me a favor. I don't ask for a lot. Slow down a little bit. See a stop sign, try stopping at it. You know, I'm a guy that
Well, it doesn't say slow, does it?
No, it says stop. I'm a guy that walks 2 miles a day, no big deal. But I'll tell you what, school's coming pretty soon. There's a lot of kids going to be out on the streets. You know, I'm an adult most of the time. And when I'm out walking, 2 times in the past week, I've had to jump up in the grass. Now, I don't know if that's intentional because I'm a politician or if they're just not paying attention.
Well, it's probably because you're a politician.
The point I'm trying to make is there are going to be a lot of kids out there. So, you know, do me a favor. Gerard, it's not real hard. For Christ's sake, the speed limit is 25 mile an hour. I'm watching people driving 40 mile an hour through a stop sign like it doesn't exist. That being said, that's enough. On the lighter side, this Saturday, for those that don't remember, August 11th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., you will be able to come over here to the municipal building and sign up if you would like to for a license to carry a firearm. Those that don't know that. I would
As
ask-
opposed to
Bring
going
cash.
downtown is
As
typical.
opposed to
This will be a
going-
satellite.
Bring cash.
Bring cash, yeah, it's a cash deal. I believe it's $20, but
It was last
it's
time.
either 20 or 25.
It's
20.
The Allegheny
You have to
County
have
Sheriff's
cash.
Office will be here, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And are there any forms, whether you know or maybe the chief
Chief
knows,
would
are
know, I
there any
guess.
forms that they need to fill out beforehand?
You can go online and get them.
You can
So
get
what he
online.
said, go online.
If you don't, you can fill them out here too. You can do it
Okay.
both.
So you can either go online, get
bring
the
them.
forms, or you can show up at the police station,
Right.
and
Here.
the forms will be here for you. Thank you, Mr.
It's going to
Johnson.
be in the council chamber.
It'll be actually in this same room at council chambers. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else,
That's it, sir.
Mr. Harvey?
My condolences also to Mr. Macaluso. He lives in my ward, and I've got to know him over the years, and I just wanted to express my condolences to him for the loss of his wife. As you probably all have guessed by the earlier presentation and some of the talk here, the MS4 committee has completed its meetings and has presented the plan to council. And we are preparing to present that plan to the businesses as well as the public. Please watch for these meetings to be posted, as they are very important for all of you to attend. Outlines of the plans and the permit will be included in the handouts as well as a PowerPoint presentation. And the only thing I can say about that whole thing in summary is, if you don't attend, you are going to have questions. But I assume Mr. Little will try to get those meetings televised
That is correct.
and maybe replayed. And so our attempt now is to educate the residential public and the commercial community as much as we can. And that's when you'll have an opportunity to ask your questions. Maybe they'll even be answered during the program. So that's that. I read the publication, the Borough News, and I have a request of council, because I saw this on the back, and what it is it's a one-day class for police civil service procedures and training, and I thought we should send any of our reps and the fill-in reps if they want to go. But I think we should pay their way, and it's $180 a person. And this class would include, and it's in Westmoreland County, and this class would include the duties and responsibilities of the Civil Service Committee, the relevant court cases, oral examinations, laudermill hearings, hiring process, discipline and discharge, probationary periods, and due process. And I think the whole course was designed for civil service people and education, and I think it would be a wise thing if we would offer to our civil service board to go. So I would like to ask council's approval for $180 a person.
Council?
Good.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Mr. Little, you got that?
Sure.
And last but not least is actually on the way to this meeting. I don't know if any of you have had problems with the tar and chips and the gravel on the road, but I had a couple residents complain about the excess gravel at intersections and making it difficult for cars to stop if they're not aware of the sliding there. And I myself have not had a problem, but there has apparently been a couple cases where there were some close calls. So I would ask this, Paul, is the company, do they sweep that stuff up?
Absolutely, many times.
Okay.
It's a several-day process.
Yeah, I can imagine, but.
Yes.
Okay,
They don't do it the day of, they start the next day. But again, it's a process.
this actual case happened to be in Mr. Johns' ward at Illini and Elliott, but I figured I'd bring it up anyway, so, maybe we can.
That hillside had to be redone because of the sudden rain event that occurred during the operation.
Okay.
That's why it all ended up.
All right, so they'll probably be.
So it was redone and it was swept, as was College Park.
Okay. I just wanted to make you aware.
We're aware.
And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Poach?
Nothing else for now, sir. I'll have a report on Tuesday.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Gatos?
First, I'd like to congratulate Josie and your whole department on the CAFR. I know that's a huge project.
Thank you.
So, thank you, Josie. Of course, condolences to the Macaluso family on the passing of Mary Macaluso. Both Mary and Jim were instrumental in the growth of the Monroeville Senior Center. They started volunteering there in 1987. You saw Mr. Macaluso was given the Citizen of the Seniors of the Year this past June, I think it was. And they were just great members of the center and also of this town. They're a very good representation of the people of this town. So it's a big loss. But on a lighter note, if you could zoom in on this picture for me, please. I would like to say happy 60th anniversary to my mom and dad, which is today. This is her original wedding picture. And
60.
anyone that knows me knows how much I adore my parents, and I just love them very much. And anyone that can make 60 years these days, it's a big accomplishment. And
Especially with Mickey.
isn't that the truth? She's up for sainthood, so as everyone knows. But happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. I love you. And that's it.
Great, thank
Good
you.
job.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and I'll echo that. Happy anniversary to the Kelly family. It's
Thank
great,
you.
great accomplishment. The kind of tiptoe around where Mr. Johns was speaking about as far as walking in the community. Monroeville, we've established our bike and pedestrian committee recently, and one of the things that we've established is a survey to fill out. It's online. It's on our website, monroeville.pa.us. It's also on the various Facebook pages. So I would encourage anyone to get on there and fill out that online survey about your walking habits in the community, your bicycling habits, what you'd like to see changed, what prevents you from doing it, how can we do things better. So I'd encourage council and everyone else out there to go online and fill out that survey. It doesn't take very long, and it'll be up for throughout the month. Correct, Mr. Little, I believe?
Correct, yeah, the survey has to be completed by August 31st.
Very good. So please click on that and fill it out so we can serve you better. Speaking about the senior center, we had the hot dog roast this past week. We had, as always, annually, Mr. Joe Sedlak had spent one of his vacation days over at the senior center. He takes the day off and goes over and cooks the hot dogs for the event. It was a really nice event. Joe Markozik was also there and his staff with ice cream sundaes. So it was a really nice event. And I want to thank the Council of Senior Citizens for inviting me and having us over there. And nice job, Joe, as always.
Only dropped a couple.
He only dropped a couple. Very good.
Those are the ones I got?
And as we're speaking of the senior center, yes, you can't mention the senior center without mentioning the Macaluso family, both Jim and Mary, and the passing of Mary at 93 years old, 66 years married. I had the great pleasure of knowing her for about 15 years, and we were very close. Her and my family were very close, and she was a good woman, and she'll be definitely missed in this community. So with that, I would seek a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you and good night.